Oh, right, here we fucking go. Let's see how much of a clusterfuck this turns into. Right, I'm just gonna go off voice for a second. Right, there we go, dude. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, so lovely. It's so lovely to see some of your guys in here, man. It really is. Right. Get the timer set. Where are we? Ah, yes I did. I have done my hair, actually. Oh, dude, it's Giggity Show. I gotta make the effort, man. You have to make the effort for the Giggity Show. Right. Right. Where's the Giggity wait screen? You know when you can't remember where your shit is? That. Okay. Let's go. Oh man, this is gonna be such a clusterfuck, but it's gonna be fun. Okay. Right, you know the score. I'll do a quick intro. And then it'll be essentially over to you for a while. You can't hear me? Alright, sweet. There we go. Oh, God. Clusterfuck alert. Shani can hear us. Hello. Right, you know what? Fuck it. We clearly haven't got any silence, bro, so let's just fucking hit this shit. Fuck it. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It's the fucking Giggity Show! Today's guest, none other than Soul the fucking Seeker. We'll have him live in a moment. Check this shit out, it's gonna be hilarious. So, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, yes, it is that time. It is time for the Giggity Show, featuring me, Mr. Fucking Blonde, and my epic guest tonight is none other than legendary British comedian, or whatever he wants to call himself these days, the man, the legend, a man who masturbates so much he's made it a national sport. It's Soul the fucking Seeker.
Hey, I, Soul the Masturbator, as I shall now be known forevermore. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on. It's a long time coming, my friend.
Oh, it has indeed, my brother. It's great of you to be here. Anyone who's in the chat, as long let me know if you can hear Soul nice and clear, because this is about him and not me. It's easier that way, trust me. You don't want me to talk too much.
No, you can hear me. You can hear me fantastic.
Oh,
fantastic.
fucking dabby dozy. For once, I am not the most attractive. For once, I am no longer the most attractive man in this stream.
Oh, no. Well, it wasn't for me to say.
Right, so tell us about Soul the fucking Seeker, bro.
Tell us, Soul. Well, you were Soul, but I wouldn't say I was a legendary British comedian. I suppose I'm British and a comedian. But I don't know about legendary. I'm an improv comedian that is here on Twitch to create chaos while playing a variety of video games. You could call me a variety streamer. I like to think of myself as a variety comedian that streams, you see. I think streaming is for everybody, and therefore it doesn't have to be classified as a streamer. I'm just who I am. Basically, you're right. I'm just a bit of a wanker, really. I think that sums me up better than anything else. So maybe I could be the first ever wankerdry British comedian.
There we go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The first open masturbation fan ever to appear on Twitch. Fan dabby dozy.
Counts just to prove it, right there.
There we fucking go. What more do you need? Right. So, without further ado, let us go into the first little thing we're going to do today, which is going to be the random rant. Now, the random rant is exactly what it sounds. We're going to rant about something fucking random. I do have it written down here somewhere. So, Mr. Soul, you chose to rant about the fear of missing out. Tell us exactly what you mean by that, because it confuses the fuck out of me.
Well, sometimes also known as FOMO. Okay, FOMO, the fear of missing out. I am very annoyed because I was a hermit for 16 or so years. The internet blew up and it became this meme culture center of lunacy, of debauchery, all this kind of stuff. And I missed out on it, all right?
Those are all my favourite things, bro.
I missed out so much. So I entered into this new sphere of existence, and I'm learning all these new terms and things, and it's crazy. But one thing I've noticed is a trend. One of these things I have noticed is that there is a lot of impatience. Like, people really just want to consume everything very, very quickly. They want it quick, swift, and to the point, and they don't want to wait for it. And if they miss it, if they miss the train, they tear themselves up. They have to know it all. They have to be there for everything. And I feel like it's a fear that has become something that is creating a lot of social anxiety as well. As much as the internet has done a good job of breaking down certain barriers for social anxiety, I think it's actually created a zeitgeist to create new ones. So, for example, you might hear about the new Marvel film that's coming out. We might talk more about it later. But like, people will be like, I have to go and see it. Did you like the previous 5? No. But all right, well, don't watch this one then. You've already created quite a clear path that you're not going to enjoy this one. But I don't want to miss out on the stuff that I'm obviously going to not like anyway. It drives me nuts, and they'll pay for it. They'll pay to not miss out because they don't want to have it spoiled for them. Because it's spoiler culture now. Like, as long as you're in this kind of like on your phone 24/7 consuming all this media in short bursts, you're going to get things spoiled for you. And obviously, I am speaking from someone who doesn't do any of this stuff. So for me, it's very strange and very alien. And I worry, I worry that it's going to keep increasing to a point where people will either start dejecting media altogether. Like, they just won't give a shit anymore. Or it'll become overly consuming and become something akin to bullying. And I think that already does exist in certain areas. Like, we see little cults be created around stuff like Zelda, or cults about PlayStation and Xbox. Like, these things are from that fear of missing out. Because, look, what does it matter that a corporation puts out a new console? Like, ultimately, to you, it's just a form of entertainment that you do in your spare time, because what else? You're bored? Because it's nothing to do with your actual life and living, breathing thing. It's a form of entertainment, and yet we take it to our heart because the fear of not being sort of included in something or being excluded from something it scares us, and I think we become more protective of the things that we do let into our zeitgeist. But I think it's just going completely out of control, and everyone needs to not give in to instant gratification. Be more patient. Good things come to those that wait, and believe me, you'll enjoy it much more if you refine what you consume.
I get you. So it's the fact that this division and this cultish mindset comes around from people not wanting to miss out on something because everybody else is raving about it.
Pretty much, exactly that. And there's no harm in missing out on it. I could take it now that Skyrim, right? People love Skyrim. To be fair, I love the Elder Scrolls, right? I thought Oblivion was great. I've always enjoyed Morrowind, even though I've never actually beaten it. I never had the time to beat it. But Skyrim came out, and it was such a long game. Everyone was ranting about it. I thought, I'll wait until it gets patched. I'll wait for it to get a re-release. I did, but then there was more expansions coming. I thought, I'll wait for those. Next thing I know, years and years have flown by. Now this game is hundreds of hours long. I haven't got the time for it, but I have not had a single thing spoiled for me from it whatsoever. I cannot tell you a single character name. I can't, and you know what? Because even if I did come into contact with something from Skyrim, I never let it weigh on my mind enough because I knew that I wanted to witness this one day myself. So it wasn't like information that I had to retain because I knew that it would ultimately spoil something, possibly. So it's not difficult to avoid spoilers, unless obviously someone tells you some blatant twist of something, then fair enough. But like, I don't feel like, oh my god, I'm missing out if I never played Skyrim. At the same time, I'm like, I'll play it when I'm ready to play it. Like, I don't feel like any pressure, peer pressure, that I'm missing out on something is enough to make me go, oh, I'm going to play Skyrim now. Because at the end of the day, I know it's just a video game in form of entertainment. It's not like, if I'm not eating food, and Shani says, so eat fucking food, right? You're missing out on food. I'm like, you know what, Shani? You're right, because I need food to live. I don't need Skyrim, you know? So this is the kind of thing I mean. Like, we get ourselves into mental play. Life's already difficult. We already go through so many hurdles with our mental health. All of us do in some form. There are so many different things that hurt us. We don't need to keep adding to it the stuff that ultimately is not even that important in any way. Really, fundamentally. Like, important to our hearts, granted, you know. If they did like, oh, this is the last ever episode of Red Dwarf, and I didn't see it, I know I would be hurt by that fair enough. But that's because I've been watching it for my entire existence. Again and again and again. But at the same time, if I never saw it, like, because, I don't know what world I'd never see that. I wouldn't be like, it would hurt, but it would be like, oh, it's the end of the world. I'd have to go around and hate everyone who saw it. Do you know what I mean? It's the defensive antithesis that comes from missing out. Or if you're the person who's seen it and you judge others for not seeing it, thus creating the fear of missing out. That's where I'm like, damn, like, it's getting crazy. How can you defend something that ultimately doesn't matter so much, with so much passion, to hurt others? That's crazy. You know, I don't want to get into politics, but like, at least politics like matter to our everyday life. So the conflict seems somewhat justified. But
yeah, I get you there. I get you. I feel you on that one.
So yeah, that's my rant. Oh, I've gone blurry. So much blurry. But do you miss me when I'm blurry? Not really.
Yeah, I'm actually afraid of missing you when you go blurry.
And hello, Busy Lizzie. Hello, is I so? Hello. I'm flattered and honoured to be the guest here today, and I'm just talking about the fear of missing out. Can't stand.
Well, the people who aren't here are missing out right now, and they should be afraid of it.
That's true.
Should be afraid to miss the epicness. So we turn it over to you in the chat. What do you think on this one? Let's have some comments there. Give us some content to work with, because I'm running fucking out of ideas.
But you make a good point there, just briefly, because you talk about, like, hey, if people miss out on this, like, you could still go back and watch a lot of this, like, content. You can watch it whenever you want. You can consume media and entertainment in any form or pace you want without fear of judgment, as long as you don't let the judgment in, I think. And that's where this fear comes in. We need to dispel that fear. It's
a good example. I treated myself to Sky TV not long back.
Oh, okay.
And the adverts that are constantly running on there about the sports subscriptions and things like that. It's only live once.
There you go. Yeah.
Trying to create that thing that you're missing something if you don't see it live.
That's right. It preys on you.
It does, absolutely.
That's crazy.
But the beauty of a Skybox is you can record it and watch it later, so it technically doesn't count.
It's very true, actually. Yeah.
I wasn't getting up at. I was in no state to be watching the fucking Formula 1 at 4:30 this morning. I was on the piss.
But that's a great point, because doesn't that just emphasise the fact that marketing campaign is out to take advantage.
Exactly.
To actually to take advantage of that fear. It's absurd, and I hate it. This might be coming from a very non-consumerist, anti-capitalist point of view. Admittedly,
it's wibbly wobbly, consumery woomery stuff.
Exactly, but I think it's growing, and it's increasingly growing with every new thing that comes out. There is this sort of fear of not being part of the conversation, fear of not seeing it right away.
It's a bit, it's like when you're in high school and you feel you've got to get in on the trends to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it absolutely 100%. And I don't think it's down to personality. I don't think it's like, well, if you're this sort of person, then you probably would be with these trends and blah, blah, blah. Because then you're not really being yourself if you're just copying everything. That's where this kind of sheep mentality sort of comes in. And I don't like the idea of people not giving themselves enough self to... I struggle with self-worth issues myself, but the idea that people out there that want to follow blindly because it's easier, I'm like, no, I really want you to just sort of be a bit more of a free thinker, please, just think about having your own opinion. I won't hate you anymore, unless I just be more grateful for the fact that you give something more than just blindly go through your life in ignorance, perhaps, or just following the next cult leader. I mean, we know what happened in the past when that happens again and again and again, whether it's a conqueror, whether it's a religious elect, they create this cult-like thing, and now we're seeing it even in video games and TV shows.
Busy just pulled up a good one. Sales. I mean, the dreaded C word is coming, and the adverts will no doubt start very, very soon. Little note to you, marketing companies: there are 12 days of Christmas, not 12 fucking weeks. Knock it off with the adverts in fucking September. We're more asked about Halloween right now.
Well, honestly, I used to work in retail, and August we used to get the first Christmas stuff in. The first delivery of Christmas would come in August, end of August.
Fucking hell. Yeah, when I was working in warehousing, we took all the extra staff on in fucking July to start stocking the fucking Christmas shit in. Oh, gold, Lizzie, you know, you don't mean that. They haven't genuinely started it. Fucking hell. It's fucking October, you marketing bastards. Yep. Fuck them with fuck them with an anchor. Fuck them like the muggles they are.
Fuck them with a tinsel fork. So,
wouldn't be the first prick they had.
They put out the Christmas stuff first, just as Halloween's about to approach, so that when Halloween's done and they can clear it off the shelf on that night, right, they move the Christmas stuff over, so it's already there, and it makes the transition easier. That's their valid.
Oh, God, yeah, fuck that shit with a fucking anchor.
The sales thing interested me, because that brings me on the pre-order culture, which is exactly the same preying of people. Most people buy their games digitally now, okay? Like, the higher percentage does.
I'll cut it on you there for a second, Sol. You've got a good one there. Fucking Call of Duty Day 1 edition.
Yeah, the unpatched one that's probably broken. And it's a higher price than it will be in a couple of months when it's fixed.
Yeah, well, I remember a couple of years ago seeing the new Call of Duty being sold. I think the big deluxe Day 1 edition was like 120 quid. I look back on the PlayStation Store 6 months later, and it was a fucking tenner.
Digital media, you're still going to run out. Like, why don't you pre-order it? Like, get a bonus to pay more to get one little outfit that will probably be released cheaper down the line when you can get a fixed, better version of it for a much cheaper cost.
You put more in, you get less out, but you're supposed to think it's something special. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tories are running the marketing companies.
There you go, you got it. But it's the fear of missing out, because they want you to pay more on day one so that you can be in the conversation, so you can talk with everyone and play it on the first day. If you're not paying the full price, you are missing out. But if you do have the patience and you don't give in to that fear, you'll have a better experience in only a few months, probably, maybe a year, which relatively isn't that big or long in the video game, scope. And you'll have a much better experience for it overall. And you won't feel like, you know what, I wish I got this on day one when it wasn't patched and I had that little outfit that I probably won't even equip as a pre-order bonus.
Jeez.
So the sales, I think, you know what, sales come around time and time again, and the products rarely change. So unless it's a vital item you need, don't worry about it. Let that sale go past. And then when you've got the cash to spend, don't worry, you'll find a deal somewhere. Let's face it, the internet's fast. There's deals on all the time somewhere. I don't know. They even got websites that will price match for you and get you the deal you want.
I think he's talking to you there, Liz. Fuck the sales. Fuck the pre-Christmas sales. Fuck Black Friday, and just wait for January.
I'm doing my best for you. Because you will get it cheap, but will you actually get the utilisation from it? Maybe that money could buy a little bit more food for little tiny Tim.
Oh, little tiny Tim with his little crutch. Tell that was NHS, and just £5 will buy him a titanium one from Booper. Well,
you go get him a second crutch. You know?
I have a message for the fucking marketing companies right here. If it's going to fucking work, which it probably isn't, so I'll have to fucking sort that out. I want to fucking say something about this.
Can you improvise it?
Oh, I'm just going to fucking push a button. I'm just going to use the wonders of digital media and push a fucking button.
And you didn't have to pre-order any of this.
No, I didn't have to pre-order any of this. I had to work my fucking arse off to make it work.
There you go. So you make it more worthwhile, right?
Exactly. and it's just not fucking having none. So, fuck you with a fucking anchor. You know when your sound alerts and shit start dying in the middle of a fucking... Yeah, that one's clearly not working. Oh, well. I'll just do it by fucking hand.
Do it. Yes.
The backyard baby's there with fuck off and die. That's what I think.
Give up the old Stone Cold treatment.
Oh, that's a good one. So, yeah, that was a cracking rant on the fear of missing out. The marketing, the commercialization of everything we hold fucking dear.
It all comes back. It all comes back around to that. I think every one of my things will come back around to that. I don't want to get so blurry all of a sudden.
Oh well, you're getting blurry. That's all I have to say. All I have to say about that. Zero fucks given.
They don't want me speaking. They're trying to blur my.
Yeah, there's my opinion on that. Right, so great little rant there about essentially what became a rant about consumerism, and consumerism is something worth having a rant about. This is why we're all skint, boys and girls. You will have nothing, and you will be happy about it.
Yep.
In my opinion, fuck that. So come on, chat. Let's have some opinions. What do we think of this rant? Has anyone got anything they want to add? Any arguments for or against? Let's have a look. Let's see what you've got for us. This is where the chat goes fucking quiet on us.
I know jumps on the trends in terms of games. I've noticed.
Yeah, you see it on Twitch all the time. Like when the Mortuary Assistant came out, suddenly every streamer I knew was playing it.
That Meatloaf was on that, yeah. So there's always one, isn't there? There's always one.
There is always one. You're absolutely correct.
Shani's on the Disney Dreamlight thing at the moment.
Oh, don't get me started on Disney when Lizzie's in here, for fuck's sake.
So, the new Disney game craze has started. I've seen loads of people start this game.
Oh, God.
And Shani jumps on that bandwagon. But apparently it's quite a calming thing. But they said that about Stardew. Do they still play that? Do they fuck?
I don't play Disney games. I streamed the remastered DuckTales for a few sessions.
Oh, yeah.
And I got copyright struck for the fucking thing because of the soundtrack. It's like, fuck you, fuck you, Disney. You fucked up my Star Wars. Fuck you.
Yes, I could have added Disney to a lot of these. We may still come on to that and one of them later.
Yeah, Disney fucked up my wars. I am not letting that go. Well, not Disney and JJ fucking Abrams, who not only fucked up my wars, he fucked up my Trek.
Trek, yeah.
So if anybody has a number for JJ Abrams, please make sure I get it, so I can express my thoughts in true profanitarian style. Thank you, Meatloaf. Fuck JJ. Get me Christopher Bowes on the phone with his fucking anchor.
For a moment there, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say Christopher Biggins.
No, get me Christopher Bowes of fucking Hailstorm.
Anyone who was British, Christopher Biggins was a very camp man who was in a lot of TV shows and game shows.
Well, there we go. We combine Hailstorm and Chris Biggins. We play in the Navy and shove an anchor up someone's arse. Job done.
1-800 piss off.
1-800 piss off. That's a great number for Abrams. I'm calling that shit.
You probably get a sort of golden shower fetish club.
Fucking hell, so what do you like, bro? Golden showers all round. Fuck yeah. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, boys and girls, that was the random rant, and what a random rant it was. It was a fantastic rant, and it was extremely fucking random. So now we're gonna get into the stuff that's probably gonna have loads of technical fuck-ups. Because now Sol and I are going to engage in something you'd usually have to go to everybody's favourite private browser window site. Those of you who know this soundtrack, we are going to go for some extreme bondage. Now, for extreme bondage, look at the enthusiasm on this man's face. For extreme bondage, Sol and I are both huge fans of something very specific. Some of our American friends may not be familiar with it, but any Brit in here, you're gonna love this shit. We are huge fans of classic British comedy shows.
Very much so. And I do know Meatloaf and Shani particularly have delved into British comedy. It's one of the reasons I think they come to me quite a bit. To be fair, and they like me. It's classic British shows.
Classic British shows. Shani, we're talking things like, but we're talking Bottom, we're talking Red Dwarf, we're talking Not the 9 O'Clock News, we're talking Monty Python. Yeah, we're talking the greats that all your American comedy has taken from, and often taken badly. If you've never seen the pilot for the American Red Dwarf, take a look. It's a fucking shit show.
It's true. It's very true.
It is a full-scale shit show.
Mm-hmm. You don't know me well at all.
Well, no, Shani, I don't. This is why you need to get on a fucking plane and come on the piss.
There you go. Battle Hamster, some of me I heard Red Dwarf.
Battle Hamster, welcome in. You are watching the Giggity Show with this fucking wanker. Those who don't know, my guest tonight is the legend that is Soul the Seeker, a great streamer, an improv comedian, and an absolute tosser. I fucking love this guy.
That's me. Proud to be the toss bomb.
So feel free to use / guest. Check this guy's VODs out. It's some legendary shit. It really is. This guy's way better at doing shows than I am.
No, not at all.
So anyway, extreme bondage.
Yes.
So we should. So
you may notice that I have come prepared. A lot of you probably already saw me. With what it's surrounding me. I mean, you've got him on the screen right there, but he's literally above my head. Right now is Rick Mail, who I give the utmost influence on me as a person, just in terms of being so, I don't know, free. If you want to know where my confidence comes from, or just my willingness to put myself out there and be as slapstick or stupid or zany, it all comes from Rick, and solely Rick, I would say, when it comes to like confidence. He just had a bravado about him. Now, a lot of it was, put on, like he would turn it up to 11, so to speak. But if you've ever read his autobiography, have you read it, Blonde?
I've never actually gotten around to reading that, but it is something that I intend to get around to doing.
It is a masterpiece because he genuinely is in no way sincere in writing an actual biography. He literally just says, "I'm God and I'm fucking great," every 3 sentences. And every time he mentions Aid, he just calls him a complete and utter tosspot wanker every single time. Like it's absolutely beautiful. I don't know why, but I've never heard of a death that has affected me so. I had an hysterical reaction to it, which he probably loved that I laughed.
I remember I was working sound at the Middlewich Folk and Boat Festival a few days after Rick died, and obviously Edmondson was performing there with his band.
Right, I've seen the videos of that.
Yeah,
yes.
I was the guy on the soundboard that day.
I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, well, Middlewich is extremely local to me. I've played that festival myself and worked that festival for probably about the last 15 years. But I'd seen Aid there a couple of times. He'd always been a very pleasant chap, a great laugh, very, very humble and down to earth, which is unusual for any sort of celebrity to be. Mm. But that show was very, very, very different. I mean, it's the only time I've ever known Aid never speak to anyone. But we did share a glance across the table and raised a glass, had a beer, had a drink. I knew exactly what was up with him. He knew exactly why we were all quite somber. Because obviously, us musos, most of us are Rick and Aid fans. Yeah, we've all done Bohemian Rhapsody so badly it made Bad News look good.
Yeah, I love that. I actually had to explain to someone the other day that they were talking about Spinal Tap, and I was like, "Well, I can't not have a conversation with Spinal Tap without mentioning Bad News because they came first, Like they done it. not better. I wouldn't say they did it better, but they broke the mold. I would say when it comes to that.
They absolutely did. They were an unbelievable double act. One of the greats. One of the greats.
No, absolutely. I remember being. Let me see. It was they went to Germany. My family went to Germany because we had a family member who married and moved out there. We were going to visit them, and I got the chicken pox the day before we were set to go, so I couldn't travel. So I had to stay behind. Now I believe this was 1996, so I was 6 or 7 years old. And my mother had to stay behind with me. And I said, as my brother's not here, can I go up and watch Bottom Live? Can I have his video that he wouldn't let me watch to watch Bottom Live? Because I've got the chicken pox. Yeah. and she let me.
Oh, wow.
Bottom Live, I didn't understand most of the jokes, of course. It was still like to hear them swear, and I thought, oh, I'm so cool. But I still found it absolutely hilarious. I never got a chance to go and see them live because I was never old enough while they were touring to actually go, which pains me. But I watched them so regularly. Vic Mail himself, though, just the mannerisms that just come through, everything about him, just highly influential, just gave me a boost of confidence I needed to allow me to be funny and not to care if I look weird or wacky or just pull weird faces, you know.
It's the way to be. Well, I do have my personal favourite clip from Bottom Live, which obviously features Rick. It's obviously this Rick and Aid on the first Bottom Live in Southampton, having a bit of a character breaking moment. So let's take a look at this and have a go, and just to obviously educate those of you who are not familiar with these guys to exactly what they were like.
Eddie, you were born in Southampton! Wow! Why did you ever leave?
Brilliance, pure brilliance.
Because I found the railway station.
I'll have a beer on Rick right now. What a guy.
Yes.
Listen, you. Fucking jump. That's no way to talk to my mother.
Fucking genius.
Come on. Are you ready? I'm ready. The arm's getting tired now. There he comes. That's not why your arm's getting tired.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm just gonna let this run. It's so cool.
Not just my wrist.
Oh, these guys, man.
He had to take a break. He literally goes off. He has to get a towel, take some water.
Come on, they'll be closed. Don't you have my yard for change? Don't you fucking dare!
Now, this is why when we say classic British comedy, it's the improvisational nature of it. There was no heavy scripting like you got with fucking Friends and Cheers and Seinfeld. So heavily scripted. Rick and Aid just winged it.
I think you nailed it there, which is that they were genuine, and I think it's something that's actually lost in British comedy today, and it's the reason why we haven't seen more of this, more of these. But they're part of a time period which we hold very dearly, but we haven't reached a new one yet. And I think the reason is because they are very funny actors. Okay. So they're not just actors and they're not just stand-up comedians. They were funny actors. They were able to be naturally funny and had the pedigree behind them to convey humor on a stage or on a TV show. And that, I think, is lost today. We don't see great comedy actors appear, genuinely funny people appear in the zeitgeist of British culture anymore. When was the last one? They're all stand-up comedians.
Oh, yeah.
They all come from stand-up backgrounds now, and then they go on to host game shows.
It's not what it used to be, is it? Exactly. They do game shows. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love stuff like Nevermind the Buzzcocks, Mock the Week, stuff
Absolutely.
like that. Those panel shows are brilliant, but that's really the only place that you can see proper comedy anymore.
It's true. They haven't got. That's where the acting's gone. There's no acting in them. You got to just be funny. Therefore, it tailors more towards the stand-up comic, right? But actual scripted humour, we actually see more sitcoms being made now if they're made by someone who was a stand-up comedian having their own show.
Well, let's take, for example, sticking with Rick and Aid. Man Down.
Yeah.
Man Down,
yeah.
Greg Davis. Now,
Greg Davis, yeah.
I couldn't get into that. But the brief moments where Rick appeared, I howled.
Oh, Rick was fantastic in it, yeah.
It was the particular scene I remember was where he was explaining to Greg Davis how he met his mother. And it was this big, long romantic tale of him standing there under the window and him smiling and waving at each other. And then one day I just fucking bent her over the wall there and fucking give her a good one.
And then he started reenacting it.
And that was absolutely fucking brilliant. Let's be honest. If our parents tell us all these romantic stories about where we came from, I wonder, you guarantee that was what it was.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we went dancing and we went to the theatre. And then we just got fucking jiggy with it in the back of the fucking car, and I forgot to fucking pull out in time. That's probably how most of us were created. I mean, one for those of you of a mature enough audience. Kids in the backs of cars cause accidents, but accidents in the backs of cars cause kids.
Love it. Oh,
Absolutely
God.
fucking brilliant. That goes out to our 5 viewers out there who were no doubt all conceived by their parents getting jiggy with it on the piss in the back of a fucking car. In the back of a drive. Sneaking one out the drive-in for you Americans. Apparently that's where Americans went to get laid, to a drive-in movie theatre. Which shows you how much giggity was going on in the backs of fucking cars. That is the origins of Netflix and chill.
Well, yeah, we'll have to look at the statistics to see the ratio of births during the drive-in theatre era. See if they increased or not.
But there we go. We have actually found the origins of Netflix and chill. Going to the drive-in and getting giggity in the back seat.
It's all derivative. Everything new has been before. Trust me.
So there we go. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The first noted case of Netflix and chill was actually let's drive to the drive-in and fuck in the car while a movie plays in the background. There it is. So it's a time-honoured tradition that was in fact beautifully demonstrated in Greece, when Olivia Newton-John was generally trying to watch the movie and Danny Zuko thought it was Netflix and chill. There we fucking go. That is a mystery solved. There is the origin of Netflix and chill. You heard it here first.
I've just clocked. I mentioned it before we went live. But here, ladies and gentlemen, is Crichton himself from Red Dwarf joining us here as an extra guest.
So is this before he spends 6 hours panel beating his head back into shape?
Spare head number 5, the rarely seen one. And I've just for you, smoke me a kipper.
I'll be back for breakfast.
Just for you, my friend.
And coming back to what I ranted about, stoke me a clipper. I'll be back for Christmas.
You actually signed out, did you? My stream like that.
Now that said, that brings us neatly on to the next item in extreme bondage. It's not whips, chains, or handcuffs. I do apologise, ladies. You all know. You should all know by now. If you want to see that sort of shit, you know exactly where to go. But no, what we in fact have is we are moving on to the next piece of classic British comedy in my list of shit to do, which is in fact, if I scroll down here to window capture and push this fucking button, which should be there, we are going to talk about Red fucking Dwarf, which is, I think, to me, a classic, a staple of British comedy.
I've literally been watching it again from the beginning in the past week. So I'm going through just the shows. I'm literally on the floor right now. I've just been going through my Just the Shows box set. I've got these DVDs in about 7 different versions, I think. I've got every re-release of the Red Dwarf I've got in some form. I've never actually watched them on these fresh discs. So for some reason, for me, I was like, I'm going to watch it again. But I'm going to watch it on fresh discs. I'm like, what?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just the show collection. Literally on the floor, so I can just swap it out on my PlayStation.
In the days of peer-to-peer downloading, when I bought my first ever laptop and an external hard drive, it was the first thing I ever illegally downloaded, was the complete collection of Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Because I'd only ever seen it in bits and drabs when it was on the TV as a kid, because my parents weren't a fan.
Oh no!
So I saw the odd episode I could catch on the TV at night.
But it's British comedy for me. My parents loved it, but I found the love through collecting VHS tapes by going to car boot sales every weekend.
Oh, I miss car boot sales.
I used to just buy the tapes, no matter what it was. If I recognised it as a British comedy, I got it. That's how I discovered Monty Python, Blackadder, Red Dwarf, everything. And I would hunt every... it was really difficult when you didn't have the internet to go to a car boot sale and just hoping they had the Series 2 VHS with Stasis Leak on it. It was the only one I wanted for so long.
Stasis Leak. What? Yeah. What a great episode.
That's it. It didn't matter what it was. One foot in the grave.
The origins of Jim and Bexley.
Yes, exactly. What's this? Downloaded the lot. Absolute life track. Yeah. Just like it's crazy. They're so rewatchable. And to go back to what I said before about comedy actors, as long as the writing quality is good. And, Doug Naylor and Rob Grant did an amazing job in creating and conceiving all of this. They literally took a poet in Craig Charles, an impressionist in Chris Barry, a dancer in Danny John Jules, and then an actor in Robert Llewellyn, and forged this amazing thing. And a stand-up comedian in Norman Lovett.
All white dudes.
Yeah.
little pointer. Those of you who don't know, I play Elite Dangerous quite a lot, and there is actually, for the voice in your ship, you can get Norman Lovett. My computer in my ship in Elite Dangerous is actually Norman Lovett. It's Norman Lovett.
Oh, that's insane! I
have the Holly voice for the voice for the computer in my ship. It's it had to be done. It cost me £15 and worth every fucking penny of it.
Yeah, damn right. That is so cool.
It had to be done. That I'll send you a link. I'll send you a little clip of that at some point, Sol. It's brilliant because he doesn't get excited about anything. Everything you do, he's just got that indifferent. Oh, for fuck's sake, voice. Yes, you're absolutely right, Battlehams. Yes, you can have the voice of Holly as your ship's computer in Elite Dangerous.
Wow.
So whereas the stock one gets all excited, fucking shields down, and Holly's just there like shields offline. Hull integrity critical. Canopy integrity at 20%. Catastrophic damage. Eject. I'm just waiting for him to turn around and say. I'm literally just waiting for him to turn around and say, "All right, dudes, when I start the game up."
When you crash, they're all dead, Dave.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
April, May, June, July, and August, fool.
We're talking Jake of the decade.
Unfortunately, no, it doesn't say Holly Hop Drive Engage, but I am going to have to start looking at modding the fucking audio files.
Definitely, you probably could.
That's got to be done, that. But unfortunately, Frontier Developments come down a bit heavy on modding game files.
The clip you have that you're going to show was actually this. It's really annoying because you may be aware that me and Eddie, my mate Eddie, we recreated episodes of Blackadder, episodes of Bottom, and episodes of Red Dwarf in our very improvised way that we could. And I did this episode. Now, sadly, YouTube won't let me upload it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so the only way to have seen it was if you watched the live version of Soulfest this past summer.
Do you still have the video file of that?
Oh, of course, I've got it all. I've got it all.
That needs to be aired at some point.
It does. So I'm maybe I'll re-air it on my birthday in December, perhaps, as a treat.
Oh, absolutely.
But we recreating this bit here was fantastic because I used split screen. Which was amazing because I'm watching Series 1 again, and you know when they got two rivers on screen?
Yeah.
I can see now, I couldn't back in the day. I'm still watching the soft definition version on DVD. I can see the lines where the shadows just hit the split screen.
It's one of the small downsides of high definition. It sometimes does spoil some of those classics that were hidden by standard definition. Take the original Star Wars, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, we can't get the original cut of the original Star Wars on fucking Blu-ray. Thank you very much, George Lucas, you fucking prick.
You hate everyone now to do with Star Wars.
But the fact that to hide the wheels on the speeder as they approach my sides, they just put Vaseline on the fucking camera lens.
Yes, I've heard that. Yes,
they literally just put a bit of Vas on the lens to hide it. But so what looks like the shimmer below the speeder, it's just Vas on the lens.
And you can clearly see it.
What was even more worrying is that someone on set clearly had a large supply of Vaseline lying around.
But noticing those things, like I had to notice it when I was editing my episode together because I split screen me and Eddie in the drive room as one side is Cat and Crichton and the other side is Rimmer and Lister, and then I had to get them synced so we could turn around and look at the alert sign. And I had to do that for everything. I loved working on it though. It was a pain. I had to do it very quickly. I had to turn it around very quickly because the filming days I had like 48 hours. But I loved it. I love doing it. I love it's a dream come true.
It's a true labour of love, Stolen. I cannot wait to see it.
No, I can't wait to show it to you again.
Let's take a look at this classic clip,
Please.
Which, in my opinion, is one of the great Red Dwarf moments. It truly is a cracker, this one.
I hate to go all technical on you, but all hands on deck, swirly thing alert. Where? It's not on the radar yet, but I can smell it. Nothing here.
Nothing on long range. Sir, is it possible you could have made a miss-smelling?
Listen, Butterpet Head. My nostril hairs are vibrating faster than the springs on a Spaniard's honeymoon bed. I'm telling you, there's something out there.
Don't get your double helix in a strip. No one's questioning your nasal integrity.
Go to Blue Alert. What for? There's no one to alert. We're all here.
I would just feel more comfortable if I know that we're all on our toes because everyone's aware it's a Blue Alert situation.
We all are on our toes.
May I remind you of Space Corps Directive 34124?
34124. No officer with false teeth should attempt
oral sex in zero gravity.
Damn you both, all the way to Hades. I want to go to Blue Alert.
Okay.
Thank you. Bit of professionalism.
Wait, I've got something. I'm punching it up.
Too small for a vessel. Maybe some kind of missile.
It's impossible to tell at this range. Whatever it is, they clearly have a technology way in advance of our own.
So does the Albanian State Washing Machine Company.
Step up to Red Alert.
Sir, are you absolutely sure? It does mean changing the bulb.
What a fuck! It's so simple and basic.
It really is. It's fantastic.
Well, it's the moment. It's the deadpan timing of Rob Llewellyn there, and just the sincerity with which he delivers that is incredible.
I actually got my sort of start into comedy, as it were, because I wanted to be I want to write shows, I want to write sitcoms, and so I did for a very long time, and I had to write spec scripts, in which it's a way of showcasing your sort of skill as a writer by writing an episode of a TV show. And so I actually wrote a completely original episode of Red Dwarf. It's called Blood Bank. It's set in Series 6, and they meet a space vampire. Let's say that. It's not over the top.
It's not lesbian vampire killers then.
No.
Or the killer bikini lesbian vampire killers.
It's not quite that. It's obviously it's an implication that this person is a vampire, but not in the traditional sense. And it was amazing. I was able to write this completely. It's a full script. I even did an audio recording of it on my YouTube channel, actually. So it's available to sort of hear and see me perform in a way. It's just me reading it, and I do all the voices and everything like that. So it's a laugh just for that. But it was wonderful to be able to just embody these voices and to write for something that I adore so much. And it's crazy how these characters can live on in your head. All right, it's like to play Rimmer as I have. Like it changes my mannerisms and the way I talk and react. And when I put on the if I've still got it here. Please tell me I've still got it. Yes, here it is. When I put the H on my head, and I become Rimmer, suddenly the hands go on the hips.
Right, somebody clip this shit. We're about to see Soul the Seeker do his best Rimmer.
The judgmental glares, and then the marvelous. Wouldn't that be fantastic? You know, that kind of thing. Just these sort of little speech patterns to start to come out, and it's just fantastic to be able to do. And then do Crichton as well, which I've always loved doing the voice of. I used to do it as a kid. Hello, I'm Crichton. How can I help you today?
Oh, dude, as much use as a condom machine in the Vatican.
I always love the scene in which he goes through his range of emotions in Series 8, which I still think is actually a very underrated series. I know people give Series 8 a lot of flack, but I do still think it's got some great moments, especially for Crichton. And he's like, sadness. Oh no, it's going to get us. Surprise. Oh no, it hasn't. And then shock. Oh, I've turned into a frog. And then it's like ambivalence, two emotions at the same time. I haven't quite mastered that one yet.
To me, best Crichton moment, Smee he.
Oh, I love doing that. I recreated that one as well. You know the episode of Crichton, the very first one, Series 2, where they meet him?
Yes, it was a different actor. His name escapes me.
That's right. I think his name David Ross.
That's the guy. That was the guy.
He also voiced Talkie Toaster in Series 4.
Yes, the fucking toaster. Here's my next question: what the smeg are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Would anybody like any toast?
That was David Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, that was White Hole. My personal favourite
White
Talkie
Hole?
Toaster,
That's
White
right,
Hole,
yeah.
which I believe was wasn't that Series 3 or 4? It was 4.
You're in the right ballpark, though. Although I usually split them in my head into twos. Like Series 1 and 2 is very grey and early on. Then you got Series 3 and 4 where you get Crichton first involved. Then you got 5 and 6, which is where the best episodes ever are, you know, at the peak. And then you got 7 and 8 where you get Kachansky and the crew back, so it becomes more cinematic. And then you've got 9, which is Back to Earth, which stands on its own. And then you got the new ones, which are 10, 11, 12, and Promised Land.
Yeah, I met the last time I spoke to Craig was just after 10.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on a Comic Con, a film Comic Con out up in Manchester. I took on the gig again for audio on audio duty, and the highlights of that were being bought a coffee by Robert Englund was quite a moment.
Oh wow.
Stealing cigarettes from Lance Henriksen. Literally sat talking to Lance Henriksen out the back and stealing his fags. And talking about fathers and sons with Craig, who apparently absolutely loved filming that episode, but realised that they used the hooch that he got hammered on. Apparently a mix of orange, apple, and mango juice, and he can't fucking stand it. So, unbeknownst to everybody, he was slipping vodka into it to give it some flavour. So when he was recording some of those scenes, when he was sort of talking to himself, he actually was pretty half cut.
That episode as well was completely made at the last minute because the budget ran out and they couldn't get the last 2 episodes filmed, so they had to improvise scripts before production, and they had about a week to learn them, and it ended up being one of the best episodes.
That episode to me is the highlight of Series 10.
I do have to say that while that episode is fantastic, that whole series is marvelous. Lemons with Jesus.
They met Jesus.
Yeah, I can't.
But it turns out he's invented the bag. So in fact, if you remember right, that is, as the Americans would call it, the first appearance of the Merce.
The Merce.
The Merce.
Oh, the Merce.
The man purse.
Purse.
The man bag. Obviously, there are those who will credit fucking Matt LeBlanc in Friends with his man bag. But no, yes. Red Dwarf Series 10, that is the first appearance of the Merce.
I totally agree with Hamster in chat. I missed that when it came up. That was also, it pokes fun at the tech and finesse of space tech. Well, Starbug is space tech. It's grimy and in some alarming ways crude. It just fits the slapstick nature of Red Dwarf so well.
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
true.
Little known fact, parts of the Starbug set were in fact repurposed from the Nostromo from Alien.
Wow, even I didn't
look at the corridors.
Oh, that's a bloody good point. Yeah,
they are.
Gave off that vibe. I just thought they were made in replica.
No, they were actual. They were actual Nostromo corridors that were obviously built for Alien back in '79.
Wow, that's fantastic.
When I watch it, I think that was just fucking brilliant. I mean, and you can see the alien nod when you look at for example, you go back and watch Polymorph.
Mm-hmm.
We have the interior mouth. You know, a clear nod to Alien.
Yeah, the curry monster. Yeah.
No, it was the Polymorph, the original Polymorph.
It was the Polymorph fear. Yes, it was the sucking thing.
Yeah.
But wasn't that meant to be the manifestation of Lister's fear?
Yeah, because I think the whole idea was, Lister had apparently seen Alien in his collection of horror movies, and he was terrified of something with an interior mouth. But it does the same to Rimmer. It's that interior mouth. That's the polymorph. Thing. That is the polymorph's true form. Yeah. But that episode's fucking brilliant. Purely for the thing is, it's one of those I'd question. The two polymorph episodes, I'd question which was the superior.
Emo Hawk, yeah.
Well, it was the fact that in Emo Hawk we had the resurgence of Dwayne Dibley, which I think was a work of genius. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great way to actually bring the character back.
It was a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Because they kind of touched on it in the original polymorph episode with the cat becoming a bum.
Yeah.
They kind of touched on it. And they sort of revisited that character in Back to Reality with Rimmer.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's pretty true.
Rimmer was the bum, and he couldn't blame his parents for it anymore.
And he's got a jacket that smells of
yak's urine.
Yak urine, yeah, the yak urine, yeah.
When I first started gaming in VR, I had that episode very firmly in mind.
Yeah,
it was outstanding. Just don't mix up the food bag and the catheter. So,
they didn't notice it for a week.
Somebody did that once. It was a week before anyone noticed. I loved Timothy Spall's little cameo in that episode.
He's fantastic.
Apparently, in filming, he kept because he kept stammering over his lines.
I was about to say that. Yeah, he really did a bad job in front of the live audience at the time. Wasn't really used to it. He was very nervous.
Yeah. You were playing the Pratt version of Rimmer for 4 years? That's a classic. That's a fucking classic, guys. He played that so fucking well.
He did because once he actually got it, he went and he was fine. It was crazy.
You know when Lister jump starts a second Big Bang with jump leads from Starbag?
The second Big Bang?
I mean, it turns out Rimmer was in fact a secret agent planted by the Space Corps in order to guide Lister to his destinies and create a second universe. How'd you not get that?
Yeah.
You found the captain's message. It's in the microdot on Grimmer's swimmer's rift skiver. Don't you get it? Rimmer, who can't swim, has got a swimming certificate. It's blatant.
That's a clue.
A blatant clue. That blatant comment. Have you missed that? Hey, did you get Kachansky? That's the aim of the game, isn't it? Fucking brilliant. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, we could fanboy about the dwarf all night, but I am gonna move us on to the next piece of classic British comedy, which is going to
4%, yeah. Twonks.
So when you only got 4%, you twonks. Go to the recuperation lodge. Jesus, no wonder you only got 4%. Jesus. So anyway, I'm going to bring us on to our next one, which is a little-known comedy duo from Britain. Smith and Jones, not the 9 o'clock news.
Oh, that's Smith and Jones. Fantastic.
Now, my late father, by the way, boys and girls, was both a big drinker and a former Staffordshire County darts player. But every time I saw this clip, I used to joke that this was my dad and my uncle on a night out. Because I could just see them doing this. I could just see them. But those of you who don't know about darts, it's a British game. You may have seen Dr. Bashir and Miles O'Brien play it in Deep Space Nine if you have never seen the darts on British TV. But before J.J. Abrams fucked up my track.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is obviously Smith and Jones, not the 9 o'clock news. And this apparently, I recently discovered, was the first ever sketch ever shown on Not the 9 o'clock news. And in my opinion, it's the fucking best one.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
So yeah, let's take a look.
Unfortunately, one thing about Not the 9 o'clock news is that it's very hard to find original episodes. They haven't really been released.
Yeah, agreed.
Because a lot of those shows had a lot of dated references and other stuff in them that was taken out.
Stuff that used to be funny and is now fucking offensive.
Apparently, but I still don't understand why they never released it. Even back in when they released DVDs, I've got them here, and I think they came out in 2002. And they're only best ofs, and they still have never released the full episodes of them.
If I can ever find it, for example, after we've shown the darts clip,
yeah,
they did what has become a historically quite. They'll never air this again. There was a Rolf Harris clip, which is a proper. They're never going to show that again.
No, that's fair.
It's literally they're running around capturing kids in giant fishing nets and stuffing them into the back of a van. And you just see him kidnapping the kids and putting them in the back of the van, and it's not until the van drives off that it's got the big sign on the side saying "Audience for Rolf on Saturday," which was massively fucked up.
Mm. It's even more dated now than it was. It's
like they knew.
Yes, true.
But anyway, let's watch this classic
please.
Smith and Jones sketch.
During the final stages of this truly titanic struggle between Di Fatbelly Gutbucket and the English champion.
Have you got audio there for the clip, so?
I have, yes.
And it's all down now to this last leg, and it's Fatbelly on the hockey. Game on. So it's Fatbelly to go.
Here it comes.
And it's a good start. Double vodka. Single pint. Another double vodka. That's
100 milligrams.
100 milligrams.
I just love what they've got at the top there. Completely newscasted.
2 doubles and a pint, and that makes
total conviction. My kind of darts.
Well, I've got to say, yeah, Meatloaf, mine too. But what I'm trying to figure out is who is fairly merry from 2 doubles and a pint.
Look at the concentration on his face.
No darts player, that's for sure.
It's a double brandy. And another double brandy. Can he make it 3 doubles on his very first go? He's done
Hey,
it.
get him down, your son.
100.
That was me last night.
140
Bikers pub with the correct associates.
Yes, he's inebriated.
Inebriate.
So it's Fat Belly to go again, and he's not the type to let this early setback upset him.
Fat Belly, you require
3 triple Bacardis.
So it's 3 triples. There's a triple Bacardi. He's fighting back what a finalist is turning out to be. Another triple Bacardi. And he make it 3 triple
Makes you
Bacardis
wonder if it was
to go
real
to
beer
the
because I act so well.
Absolutely class.
Is
He
it-
did it in
Don't
the
quit.
semifinals. Can he do it again? He's missed the table altogether. He's missed the table.
110 milligrams.
That's just 110. What an unfortunate miss. Still 2 triple Bacardis.
Triple
Makes
fastest.
him- Now, let's see. Not bad. Fairly pissed. Still a reasonable position at this stage of the game. Now, what can even Fat Belly
Here it
do
comes.
about
I love this.
facility concentration? He knows he's in with a good chance after that mistake by Fat Belly. Oh, that's a bad one. A single pint at this stage doesn't help him at all. He really needs a triple gin with ice and lemon. Oh no, he's got a Bruneo. His game is absolutely gone to pieces. He's got to pull out all the stops now if he wants to win this title. He's going for a triple Scotch. That'll help
Here
him
it
keep
comes.
him in the game. And oh, would you believe it? It went in, but it's come out again.
Come out again.
It's got him, but it's come out again. Yeah, an absolutely legendary sketch there from Smith and Jones, not the 9 o'clock news. So let's hear about that, Sol. As a comedian yourself, what can you tell us about that legendary sketch? Well, we check the Twitter and see if anyone's bothering, which they're not, because they're missing out.
You're missing out. Not the 9 o'clock news is so underrated. Like Monty Python, I love them to bits. They get so much credit, but in their wake, they left the door open for someone to take over when the 80s rolled around in '79, and not the 9 o'clock news picked it up. And they went on to have like without 9 o'clock news, you wouldn't have Mr. Bean, Blackadder, Smith and Jones themselves going on. Then, by extension, based on those careers going off and 9 o'clock news being such a big hit, you wouldn't have had Fry and Laurie on the backs of that. So, like, it's amazing how influential they are, even if they don't get as much credit. I actually did the Bouncy Ball song as a request
Oh, nice.
on my channel as well. I like bouncing, boing, 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 up and down until I get a pain in my groin. just give you a little more of that. But it's just really fantastic. The interview with the gorilla, and to parody, or when they parodied the Life of Brian interview, on TV when Life of Brian was Michael Palin and John Cleese went up against 2 priests or a bishop, I believe, a priest and bishop on a TV show, and they did a whole parody of the whole thing.
Wow.
I'll say, or just the gorilla. Like I said, the gorilla sketch is fantastic. Just wonderful. Ryan Atkinson just playing this deadpan gorilla that can talk. just it's so simple and yet just amazing. Absolutely.
It's a cracker. It's a classic. I mean,
it really does need more attention. But it's one thing I want to ask you actually. Why all I was livid? Yeah.
coming back to Fry and Laurie. I mean, the way those two played off each other, particularly in the 3rd and 4th series of Blackadder,
Yeah.
was they just. I mean, maybe you can tell me, was that the origin of that double act of Fry and Laurie? Did they work together before Blackadder, or was that where they really first worked as a pair?
They came through Cambridge together in the Footlights. So they were known to each other and had performed reviews well. So they did kind of come as a package somewhat because they were living together as well.
Yeah.
With Rowan for a long period of time.
Oh wow! I didn't know
They
that.
even had a visit from Prince Charles at one point. Oh, so King Charles now, I suppose.
So all our banknotes are going to have Charlie all over them. Oh wait, they have.
I've not heard that. Yeah, I've not heard that before. That was a good one. So yeah, they sort of knew each other. They were all sort of in the same in crowd and came up together. But actually working together, yeah, Blackadder would have been the first one. Blackadder Series 2, technically. Because weirdly, this is weird, but Hugh Laurie plays 2 different characters in the second Blackadder series in back-to-back episodes.
Fucking hell, he does.
Yeah, in Drunk, he plays just one of the partygoers, and the reason was because the original actor dropped out, and he was just available again through connections, so came in to do this very low-key part. And then he plays Ludwig in the next episode, a prominent character. But regardless, yeah, so he was working there. Then I think Fry and Laurie had their first pilot in '86, and their first series was commissioned that ran into or started in '87. And they ran for 4 series, and then they went on to do Jeeves and Wooster. But just absolutely fantastic because they brought a sort of. I'll tell you what they did do, which I don't think is talked about enough, is they broke down a class barrier a little.
Yes, I agree.
Because they were very much middle-class individuals, came from middle-class backgrounds, but they were very down-to-earth, and they were able to use their comedy to break down the stereotypes of their upbringing, while at the same time being able to convey humour. Like, the working class humour is always going to be there with stuff like Bread, with Only Fools and Horses, that come from working class backgrounds in terms of the writers. And you can see when something is definitely a little bit more, I don't know, how would you put it? Highbrow might be the really technical shitty term. But I think they did a really good job of breaking down that barrier and sort of allowing stupid humour to be a shared pastime. I think that's because all of these guys came from uni when uni was not necessarily a de facto option for all classes. Rick and Aid, Ben Elton coming from Manchester University. I don't think any of them would admit to coming from, working class backgrounds at all. But they're human at the end of the day, and they didn't care about class, and they never let it be they never wanted to be a spokesperson for it. You know what I mean? They never embodied themselves with their class, even if they spoke a different way. I don't think anyone would look at Stephen Fry and dismiss him because he spoke in a certain manner due to his education and upbringing, we may have not got, for example, because he's very human, down to earth, and doesn't let that dictate his thoughts and feelings and his humanity. So I think that's what I love about them, particularly in that era of comedian. It was in a trend-setting way. Thatcher was in power throughout the 80s. She embodied a very anti-working class establishment, and so the divisions were being formed, and we needed a voice, and British comedy became that voice. And even if they were coming from, again, middle class backgrounds that may not necessarily have to struggle as much when they were younger, they were still able to have the same voice that we may not have had. If that makes sense. That
makes perfect sense. Yeah, you are quite right there. I never thought about the relevance of the class divide on the likes of Hugh and Laurie.
It's sad when you talk about British culture. What are we known for? Fundamentally, royalty, aristocracy, literally the poster of class divide, and it will permeate throughout politics as well. Everything is sort of influenced by that. Again, we talked about we don't get British comedy the same as we used to. And I would argue that actually the political zeitgeist, again to use that word, is not at our position. Because now the comedians that are fighting back against the woke generation.
They are, especially nowadays.
Yeah. And this is annoying me a little bit because stuff like League of Gentlemen and Little Britain, I'll admit, some of their stuff is not acceptable, even back then. But
Little Britain did push it.
Yeah, they did
push it.
But I would say because you're looking at it now, aren't you? And looking back. Because at the time, what were they actually doing? Was David Williams and Matt Lucas, was Mark Gatiss and Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, were they actually got a sense of humour that was foul and disgusting? Rick and Aid in their time, obviously, some of their stuff was quite controversial. No, they weren't. Because what they were actually doing was they were separating themselves and they were reflecting the world around them. Okay, they were trying to poke fun at the changing aspects of society that are necessarily becoming absurd. Like, for example, the only gay in the village. Okay, now that could look. I could easily see that as being, very anti homosexuality or all that kind of stuff. But what it actually was sort of representing was the fact that, well, there are a lot of people that are in the closet and are afraid to come out. And what it actually did was David became the voice that we are meant to not like. We're meant to laugh at him, right? We're meant to say, he's such a homophobe, even though he claims to be a homosexual, right? He's a hypocrite. Okay, be yourself. That like, come out. Don't let this person poke fun at him. He doesn't know what he's on about. He's an idiot, So I just think that a lot of this stuff is a reflection. Yes, blackface. That's where they pushed it. I think. There is no real need for it. It was usually done.
Well, what I think on that, take for example the old ladies. You had the two old ladies.
You talking about at the fairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
When they found out the cake was made by a coloured person or the cake was made by immigrants, they'd fucking throw up about it. I think what that was, rather than it being, being offensive. I think what they were trying to do was highlight the fact that there were still people around who were offended by such things, rather than being offended by them themselves. I think they were trying to highlight. I look at the same with the Only Gay in the Village. I think what they were trying to do was highlight the issue. I mean, Only Gay in the Village. You remember the amount of times Daffith would say, "Oh, I'm the only gay around here, and I don't think they like gays." I do that too well. I know. But it was the fact that they say, "Oh, gay Trekkies, you like Star Trek?" And it turns out there'd be loads of them. I think what they were trying to point out was people felt that they had to be closeted, or they felt they were alone. But in fact, it was far more prolific than they may have been aware.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I genuinely think that it did come from a place of, let's take this extreme example. For example, you mentioned the fair, the vomiting. Like, let's take xenophobia. How can we take this growing xenophobia that still permeates throughout our country, and how can we say that, look, this is not acceptable? Look how ludicrous this xenophobia is, right? And what they did was they put it up to extreme. No one who is xenophobic is going to find out that this cake they had was made by someone from a different country, and they're going to puke up and project on. They're not going to do that.
Well, for example,
the extreme absurdity of the notion of xenophobia.
Yes, like the fact there'd always be huge positive comments about said cake.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was a case of why throw up because it was made by a person that you may not be a fan of.
But
I think it was Battleham's has hit it on the fucking head there.
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just going to read that comment out.
Yeah, please.
I think a lot of their stuff was there to put these issues on a pedestal, so people would look around and go, "Oh dear, how ridiculous are they?" And I think that's absolutely bang on. Nice call out there, Battleham's tribe. I like that.
That's what I meant by being reflective. Now, there's two issues with that, because there are people that don't care and only take it as face value. And if you take these things as face value, yes, they look distasteful and they look ridiculous and not acceptable. Or or you look at it now and not understand what it was trying to reflect at the time, because actually times have been improved to the point where we can look back and say, wow, that was really bad and distasteful. I think, you don't need to maybe necessarily portray a different...
Exactly. If you look back, then the amount of issues that were highlighted through those extreme examples is quite breathtaking when you think about it.
Because stuff
simple
like
things such as
Tony's Bride, like that kind of stuff, that's really not appropriate at all, even at the time. Even if it was pointing out a sort of growing trend and making fun of this trend, it was done in a way that was sort of outdated at the time.
I do think the whole ting tong from tong ting thing was a bit fucking. Yeah, that was a bit much. I agree. I think that was.
Because he's even admitted that a lot of that stuff he looks back on and feels like it's hate, and he would never want to ever do that. But again, it's the sign of the times. He weren't a hateful person back then. He was just looking at what was acceptable and doing the reflection. And it was like, well, if we're going to do a reflection for Tony's Bride, one of us is going to have to play Tony's Bride. Why does one of us have to play it? Well, because we're the two stars that are in every sketch. So, it's kind of like, well, all right, we'll do this. We can get away with doing it. We're like getting away as if, we know we're doing something wrong. It's just no one questioned it as much as they do now. And League of Gentlemen was dark, and it did go to dark places, and I absolutely love the fact that they did. And it's horror. It's horror comedy. Yeah. I mean, it's like saying, oh, well, we can't see murder on TV. Murder's wrong. And yet we see it all the time, and in gory fashion.
Agreed.
But murder is absolutely despicable.
I mean, a great one with Little Britain as well was... Let's take, for example, my least favourite... I use this term very loosely. Music artist of our generation. I've only recently discovered this person called Lizzo, who is quite overweight, but sort of bangs on about sort of weight awareness and obesity awareness and sort of body shaming's bad and all that. Little Britain touched on that with "Call Me Bubbles, Darling." Everyone does.
There you go.
That was touched. That was touched on. Mm-hmm. The issues that are now becoming very much highlighted were being touched on by comedians a decade ago.
And I feel like there is actually a void of this reflective thing, and in British culture, again, like in British comedy, and the reason for that is because no one wants to offend anyone, because you can get cancelled. Goodness
gracious me! Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that now? The royal family, they're all Indian, except for Prince Charles. He's African. He has the bigger ears. Can you imagine that now?
No,
it'd
exactly.
be fucking outrage. Only Fools and Horses, very famously the nuclear fallout episode.
Yeah.
But Dal, if everything's been destroyed by a nuclear weapon, where are we going to get food? There's bound to be some packy shop open somewhere. Can you imagine that now? That's the only episode of Only Fools and Horses that isn't rerun constantly.
They do cut it. They cut the line, or they blank it out. I've seen it on Gold, but back in the day, I haven't seen it recently.
They cut that scene out.
But yeah, they cut the bits out. And honestly, a lot of things are hacked now, which is fair. I mean, I watched the whole of Dad's Army over the summer, literally from start to finish, and it still holds up. It's amazing. But of course, there is this odd moment, just every now and then. It's not even that common. It's really uncommon in that series because it's quite hard. This is that line. That's going to have to get cut. That's not right. There's even at one point where I know this guy beats up his wife. Like, you don't see it; it's implied. You hear him tell her to go back inside, and then they just cut to a close, and you hear thumping, and then it cuts to a close up of Mandarin reacting, and there's a laugh track, and I'm like, what did I just watch? No, that really ain't funny.
It's fucked up. But speaking of Dad's Army, that brings me on to another example of where sort of, particularly the Germans of the 1930s and 40s were sort of a butt of a lot of jokes. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, I've never heard a German who was offended by it. That's the funny thing.
Famously, infamously, maybe I don't know, 40 Towers, of course, when they did the Germans, episode.
I mentioned the war once or twice, but I think I got away with it. Great sketch. Absolutely great sequence.
It's an absolutely great episode, and apparently the Germans loved it. When it was shown in Germany, they loved it. They thought it was hilarious. So it's, this idea of not offending someone, I just don't like the fact that it's gone the other way. That now the thing that people are fighting back against is the good values, the good moral values. It used to be we punch up, we poke fun at the ludicrous, xenophobic, immoral stuff, right?
Yeah.
But now the comedians are starting to sort of poke fun at the morally righteous stuff and poke down, or punch down. And I just think that's
There's an unfortunate turn in culture.
And what that's resulted in is no one wants to touch that. Like, no other corporations want to touch that. So it's now got a void where there's nothing really to fight up against anymore as much. I mean, we could argue there is, but everyone's too afraid to do it. And no one wants to touch the people who are punching down.
Well, speaking of punching up and down, the next clip I have lined up for us is a great example of people punching up and poking fun at those at the top that choose to look down on us. Obviously, this is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of classic British comedy. We are, of course, now going to talk about the legends that are Monty Python. Which, obviously, they poked a lot of fun, both up and down. But this, to me, is, especially in today's age of Tory government's class divide, this, to me, is a fantastic example of Monty Python, who were themselves primarily sort of middle-upper class, very well-educated, well-off guys, but they knew how to poke fun at their own kind. So this for my American friends is a great poke at the British aristocracy. This is the classic upper-class Twit of the Year sketch. Let's take a look.
Good afternoon and welcome to Branley Park, and you join us just as the competitors are running out onto the field on this lovely winter's afternoon with the going firm underfoot and very little sign of rain. And it looks as though we're in for a splendid afternoon sport on this, the 127th Upper Class Twit of the Year show. And there's a big crowd here today to see these prize idiots in action. Vivian Smith. He's in the Grenadier Guards and he can count up to 4. Simon Zinc Trumpet Harris. He's an old Etonian and married to a very attractive table lamp. Nigel Incubator Jones. His best friend is a tree, and in his spare time he's a stockbroker. Gervais Brook Hamster. He's in the wine trade, and his father uses him as a waste paper basket. And finally, Oliver St. John Mollis, another old Etonian. His father was a cabinet minister.
The late, great Graham Chapman. What a guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Twit. And now the Twits are moving up to the starting line. And
I didn't learn about Graham Chapman for a long time, like what kind of person he was, the struggles he went through.
Yeah.
And any moment now,
He had a lot of problems. Had a lot of problems.
Tense moment. And they're off! No, they're not. No, they didn't realise that they had to start with the gun. Never mind, I think the starters explained to them now. Yes, several of them.
John Cleese's narration of this is insane. It gets so eccentric as it goes on.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Conservative front bench? Come on, all that's missing from this is Jacob Rees-Mogg. This is exactly what I imagine him being like.
Worst event, he's having a little trouble at the back. Simon's coming through fast. Nigel's coming through. Vivian's going well, and Oliver's over. Oliver's over at the back. Never mind. He'll get up now. There we go. He's a great fighter, this lad. He's having that. Oh dear, never mind. Well, we're coming to the second event now, which is the matchbox jump. 2 layers of matchboxes for the Twits to clear. Nigel's over, and Simon over's a wonderful jump, and Vivian has refused. And now it's kicking the beggar. And Nigel to put the brogue in there. Oh, beautifully placed. And another one and a third. And the beggar is down, and the crowd really love that. And here we are. It's Oliver. He hasn't cleared the jump yet. He's having a little trouble with the old
Such a classic sketch, this.
His father could understand. Going now. It's running over the old lady. It's Simon in the lead. And he's got it beautifully right in the middle. Accelerating forward now. Oh, we're back to Oliver. Oh, he's a magnificent. This man, he doesn't know when he's beaten. He doesn't know when he's winning either. He has no sort of sensory apparatus known to man. Bad luck, Oliver. And now it's waking the neighbour. Simon's there in the front of the field, and he's slamming that door, and he's broken the waiver. Simon's through clean into first place, and the crowd are really excited at this moment. And now it's shooting the rabbits. These rabbits have been carefully staked out to the ground so they can't move around too much, as this is only a one-day event.
Genius, the genius of Monty Python has never gone away.
And Gervais is using the butt of his rifle, and Vivian's going in with a fist, and Gervais is first away, and Oliver has run himself.
One thing
over.
I
What a great
I love that image,
And
that
now
jump cut.
it's
Oh, this one. This always gets me.
From the back. This is a particularly difficult event for most of the twits. One of the ones
He
that
genuinely
makes the
could get
most time on this
points
extremely
thrown away with
course,
the
and
actual
crowd are
mannequin.
getting excited, and I think some of the twits are getting rather excited too. And it's Simon. It's Simon into the lead, closely followed by Nigel.
That's a
And
good. That's a
the
good
final
call,
event
Panda.
now.
Actually,
They have to shoot themselves
she reminds me of an upper class twit, but I'll take that.
It's Nigel there. Nigel misses. Simon misses. Nigel misses again. And Gervais has shot himself. Gervais is upper class player of the year. Vivian is there. He's not having any luck. Simon shoots. Simon has shot Vivian. Simon has shot Vivian into second place. And Simon shoots himself. Simon is third. And Nigel clubs himself.
Again, the Conservative front bench. They'll shoot themselves in order to make a name.
Coffees. I love that. I forgot about the coffee.
Genius, man.
Mike Smith of Mayfair, and third, Simon Zink Trumpet Harris of Kensington. Well, there'll certainly be some car door slamming
One
in the
thing I will
streets of
say
Kensington
about
tonight.
What can we
Monty
say about
Python.
Monty Python, Sol?
Monty Python, for me, I love talking about British comedy. I've never actually had a real avenue to do this. That's why I really wanted to make sure we talked about British comedy here, because I never really get a chance to say it. But Monty Python is what I consider comedy philosophy. Okay? Because what they managed to do expertly is touch on every aspect of life itself in some fashion.
Yes,
And
agreed.
It's you know how a stand-up comedian would sort of say, tell you something that you sort of know, and then it's like referential humour. You know, oh, I recognise I do that. You're making fun of me doing that. Oh, I get it. Right? They managed to do that, but in a way, use sketch comedy to do it. So while I say like Little Britain would reflect the times around them, well, not 9 o'clock news would reflect the time and the political stance at the time. What Monty Python did, they didn't do that. They reflected life itself, and I think it's one of the main reasons, if not the major reason, why they have stood the test of time itself. It's because the things that they reflect are things that will forever be with us, and therefore their humour and reflection of it is therefore always going to be relevant. Because a lot of their stuff was down to social interactions, caricatures of aspects of life such as birth, death, history. They touch on history as well, like what influences our culture. They touch on every theme and aspect of life, not necessarily what is political satire at the time. And they do it superbly, and they do it wonderfully with animation and song, so you get variety as well.
Absolutely.
They were the most talented group of comedians ever assembled, and I would argue probably will ever be assembled. You have a stand-up comedian, you have an actor, you have a musician, you have a director and an animator, you know, and then you have expert writing that comes from every aspect of that together in one place.
Yeah, on that, we do need to talk about the unsung hero of Monty Python in a great many ways. Because obviously we're all familiar with the five piece of John Cleese, Eric Idle, Graham Chapman, etc. But there is the unsung hero himself, a man who did so much behind the scenes. It's really quite unbelievable. I mean, we've all seen Monty Python. We've all watched the little funny cartoons that went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the man responsible for those, obviously because he wasn't on screen very often, was unfortunately overlooked by many supposedly big Python fans. I am, of course, talking about the legendary animator and director Terry Gilliam, the face that we didn't usually see. Yeah,
that's true. If you did see him, it was occasionally a sketch, and he would often, "Hey hamster, how you doing?" You would often see him in a very flamboyant manner. Let's say that. Obviously, when Chapman died and they continued to do reunions or tours or little sketches for charity or when they did their farewell tour. Gilliam stepped up to fill a lot of the roles.
I was very happy to see Gilliam when I went to 1 Down 5 to Go. I was really chuffed when they opened up with Sit on My Face and there was Gilliam. I was just like, you fucking bravo, sir, bravo.
I took one of the animations, the intro to Monty Python's Flying Circus, and I grafted Big Potato and Meatloaf's face and many other people in the community onto the actual thing. It was one of my favourite creations. I was able to literally take this animation and then do my own version of the animation using my editing software and my skill that I have in very short amount, and was able to create this little fun Monty Python intro with people from chat, which was actually fantastic.
Yep,
I remember my first look at him, Holy Grail. I never really clocked it was him. But yeah, I know that's true, because when he was in the TV series, like I said, he was very young and normally was hidden under makeup or something like that in a very throwaway part. But yeah, he was fantastic. I would say definitely unsung. It's amazing how influential they all are to everyone else, because like we've talked about, like not the News, Smith Jones, Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, Rick and Aid, all of these. You ask all of them, but they will all say Peter Cook and Dudley Moore and Monty Python as their high influences, and Spike Milligan probably as well. And that I love British comedy as far back as them goes as well. I just know that there is something about that 80s period, 70s and 80s period, that is the golden age of British comedy. The sketch shows, the sitcoms, yes, they were reflective of their times. In the 90s, we still had some great ones, don't get me wrong. We still had, the 90s kind of fed on from the 80s era, and it started to get a bit shaky towards the end. In the 2000s, there was a little bit of a resurgence. I don't know if you're a fan, but I love the Mighty Boosh.
The Boosh was good.
The Boosh is good, but the Boosh was for a very different market, wasn't it? I mean, that was for a very young... Little Britain was fair, children were watching Little Britain. But it was very much for a very different audience. Mitchell and Webb came along. You had The Office come in and start doing more cinematic sitcoms. So nothing was filmed in front of a studio audience anymore. In fact, the only studio audience sitcom, well, there's two. I don't know how much you like one of them. You might know what I'm saying. But the Miranda and Mrs. Brown's Boys, I've got to admit, I'm not a big fan. Oh my word. Thank you so much for the gift sub. Oh my word. Holy shit.
Yeah, Wolf Brothers Cinema coming in there with the with the fucking gifted sub, brother. Welcome, and thank you very, very much for your support.
Oh, you're an amazing individual. I adore you, Mihai. Thank you so much. So going to cut me off guard. Boosh was good, but I've always found it an acquired taste. It is an acquired taste, so I think that's again reflective of the new generation that was influenced by new individuals. We can't forget. I have to say Reeves and Mortimer as well.
Oh yeah, Vic Reeves, Vic and Bob.
Yeah, Harry Enfield, Paul Whitehouse.
Harry Enfield, Paul Whitehouse, and of course you have. Oh God, who was the other one?
And that was very much the 90s. Like as I say, like spun off from the 80s era, and they were keeping it alive, but they weren't getting as much like sort of attention when they were
absolutely. But some of my favourite sketches have come from Harry Enfield. I mean, obviously Kevin and Perry was an icon. Were an iconic pair. You know, Kathy Burke. Yeah. You know, everyone when we speak of Harry Enfield, everyone immediately thinks Paul Whitehouse. Kathy Burke was such a big part, especially of the later Harry Enfield stuff. She was fantastic. I mean, we could briefly touch on women in comedy, hence the image we have displayed here. The unsung seventh Python. Carol Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, she's there throughout the whole thing, right to the end of Monty Python as well.
She appeared on stage with them at 1 Down 5 to Go, and she's still hilarious now.
Yes,
absolutely fantastic.
Plays the role very well. Women in comedy, it's sadly again I think it is a reflection of times, and I love the fact that it's changed. I just hate the fact that it changed so late. But because now I feel like this would be great if there was a lot more, like French and Saunders, ahead of their time, pioneers of killing that trope that women aren't funny in comedy, that kind of thing. Of course, they're fucking
French and Saunders were the Rick and Aid without a Y chromosome. Let's be honest here.
It's nothing to do with your sex or gender. It's down to your sense of humour, and they were able to take a humour that could be referential to other women. It's why they got so great and big at the time. But let's face it, they came up with great sketches and characters that still live just as long in our mind and were very influential. Victoria Wood.
Vicky Wood, fantastic.
Yeah. Victoria Wood is fantastic. One of my greatest moments on streaming, and even though no one in the audience knew what the hell I was doing, was doing an entire rendition of Let's Do It. The famous song that Victoria Wood sung, Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it tonight. I did the whole song from start to finish. People couldn't keep up and knew what I was talking about. I didn't care. I was loving it, She did Dinner Ladies, Kathy Burke, as you mentioned, going on to do Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. And I just think that's where it sort of trailed off. Around the mid-2000s, like Peep Show was the only real thing that sort of kept British comedy in somewhat of a relevancy. I think everything that came out and got big, like Mrs. Brown was Miranda, In-Betweeners. I just don't think honestly were that good.
All that coming in. Miranda Hart, I never found funny. I mean, I tried to watch Hyperdrive, and she really put me off that.
I love Hyperdrive. I think that's got better with age. Give it a shot.
It may have aged well, but at the time, I found it to be sort of, I don't know. There was a little too much Red Dwarf influence going on.
Yeah, very much so.
Maybe when it came into its own and became its own show, it would be more enjoyable. Then when we go into stand-up comedians, Sarah Millican, to this day, absolutely fucking cracks me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember seeing, I saw her on some stand-up show at some point. She came out with what to this day I think is one of the greatest little quips I've ever heard a female comedian make, because she's pure filth at the end of the day, Millican. She is absolutely filthy. I remember she was ranting on about the price of rubbers. She just walks out and she went, I walk into the chemist and they say I want some condoms, and they say to me, well, what flavour do you want? And I'm like, well, why would I want them flavoured? At the end of the day, if I'm giving a blowjob, the only thing I want to taste is cock. I was just like, fucking brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You want the whole girl power feminist thing, there it is straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely funny as fuck.
I would argue, I do think Ricky Gervais is still at the moment the only male stand-up comedian that I find in any way funny to a degree that I want to actually listen to him or I'll buy tickets to see. But I would have to say that female comedians at stand-up tends to be where I tend to deviate towards. I think they're much funnier now than the. And again, I think I've noticed a lot more male comedians now are becoming that anti-woke sort of thing, and I think that's starting to become a bit of a trend. And I've sadly had to distance myself from what is British comedy today. I think the only thing I actually watch is Ghosts, that series made by the Horrible History troupe.
I'm with you.
I think it's fantastic.
Coming back to Ricky Gervais, what were your thoughts on Afterlife?
I love Afterlife.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it took a very difficult subject matter, and managed to put it across in a way that was funny and entertaining. And having obviously, I've not lost my partner, but lost my father somewhat recently.
Yeah,
it became a great it became a great showing of how you can take it lightheartedly.
Yeah,
you can find a little bit of comfort in the fact that you can look back and laugh at some of the shit that went on.
I think it's fair to say that I've cried definitely so many. No, I Derek and Afterlife. I've cried probably every episode of every single one, and I'm not afraid to admit it because it's superb writing, and and it's funny as well. It's funny as well. It's funny and it's touching, it's emotional. And the reason I cry and connect with it is the reason because it makes me laugh. You make someone laugh, right? This is why I do it, right? This is why I'm a comedian and why I'm proud to say I'm a comedian. I want to be a comedian and stay a comedian as a career. And the reason for that is because what does a comedian do? If they're a good comedian, hopefully, is they give you, even if it's just for a few seconds, they give you the ability to laugh and let yourself go. And just for a few seconds, your brain experiences joy. Okay? If you can bring the conveyor of joy to someone, even if it lasts a few seconds, in those few seconds, everything's all right. You let it all go and you just let your body be joyful. And that's all that's needed. So we don't need to have like hate speech come into sort of comedy and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be this thing. It's meant to be personal, and if you can make a connection with someone by doing that, and it's wonderful because through being funny, hopefully, I've made connections with wonderful individuals like yourself and have created friendships from them. Because if I can make you laugh, you probably go, he's a bit of all right. Oh, well, it make me laugh again, hopefully. And then what happens? So friendship is born, and it has nothing to do with whether I'm being funny or not, because we're hopefully good people.
Yeah,
that have made a connection through the fact that I said something funny and you found it funny. So that's already created a connection there. So you want to talk about extreme bondage? That's what comedy's all about.
I completely agree with you, brother. I mean, when my father first passed away, I remember, I think it was a day or two after, I just happened to drop in on one of your streams, and you
did.
I redeemed a Tell Me a Tale.
Yes.
And it was the first one it was the first one I gave you, which I believe was Vladimir Putin, tits and engine oil. And
was it?
Yeah, and for the first time since obviously the news had been broken, I laughed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually laughed, and I hadn't laughed in days. And you creased me up with that.
That means a hell of a lot to me that I was able to give you that comfort. I mean, I'm live for a certain amount of time. Yes, this is what I do at the moment due to circumstances. But when I'm live, when I'm there in the moment, I'm there for that chat and for every individual that comes through, and to make their life hopefully a little bit better, easier, make them feel comfortable, listen to, because I want to listen to them. I want to connect with you all. You're my friends. Even if you're there for a few seconds or you only got a few minutes, people come in and just say hello. It means so much to me. And I hope that in those few minutes or seconds that you spare, I can at least make you laugh, or at least, make you feel good about yourself. That means a lot that you're able to come in and you were able to get something out that wasn't, watching the game I was playing, or having to stay there for hours and end just because you had nothing else to do, or because you had to get an emote to sub, this kind of stuff. It had nothing to do with anything else. You came in because you wanted an escape, right? And you wanted to maybe communicate, be social. You came in there and you were able to get something out of it that was beneficial to you, period. And be able to convey that. And hopefully we are doing that right now for people out there.
Absolutely. I mean, end of the day, guys, we are being silly, we are having a laugh, we are talking shit, but ultimately we're just trying to give you guys something to do, maybe an escape from a mundane day, or you just need something to fucking smile about. You've been through some shit and you need to giggle. That's why we do this. We're not here to we ain't here to make money out of it. We ain't here to make influencers of our fucking selves. We're here to have a laugh. We're here to have a laugh and to make sure you motherfuckers have a laugh. Yeah. That is what we are here for.
Pure entertainment, and we give ourselves over to that because it's beneficial to us, and I mean that in a more mental capacity as well. Like you come in, Cutie Pie is in this chat. I do not know Cutie Pie. Cutie Pie, I'm saying your name, I'm calling you out, and you've just done that sound alert.
Jesus. How about that, Cutie Pie? I haven't seen you for ages, and what's the first thing I do? I make you fucking scream. That's what happens in here.
And you're wonderful. And I don't know nothing about you, but I already know that you being here, listening to us and engaging is already a wonderful thing. So you're a wonderful person, and I can say that. And so live on in this vault. The Cutie Pie 7673 is wonderful. There you go.
Yeah, Cutie Pie can't go to work because apparently she's managed to break a toe, which sucks balls.
Well, you may not have a wonderful toe, but the rest of you is. I hope it mends very quickly for you and you have a speedy recovery.
Soul, you smooth motherfucker. This is why I love you, bro. The only man in the world who is smoother than me with the ladies.
I've got no evidence for that. I'm sitting here with little created crocheted versions of myself and a mock Crichton in a chair. You know.
It's all good fun, my brother. It's all good fun. Speaking of good fun, it's been great to bond over the comedy. It really has.
Yes.
But now it's time for some fun.
Okay.
Now it is time to play this fucking epic piece of shit. It is time to play Fuck Off to Room 69. So yes, boys and girls, it is time for Fuck Off to Room 69. Now, what we do in Room 69 is very simple. Room 69 is the darkest depths of hell where nothing will ever escape.
69. It's...
Either way up, your place or mine. Giggity goo. Room 69 is the very depths of hell. Nobody goes there. So the whole idea is anything we put into Room 69 will be eradicated from existence, and we will never see it again. We will never see it again if we put it in there. So what we're going to do now is Sol has chosen numerous things that he would like to see eradicated to the pits of hell that is Room 69. So obviously, given that we're on Twitch, we're going to start out with our Mr. Sol here has chosen a video game that he would like to see committed to the depths of hell in Room 69. So please, Sol, tell us about this game. Why do you hate it so much? What has it ever done to you?
This is a game that, no, I've never met anyone else who doesn't like it. Okay, everyone, because usually the streamers want to play the games that are relevant, okay, and they want to play ones that will obviously get them maybe a few follows, or that they just want to experience because they're fans of the genre. Visage, okay, is a horror game for recently released, I think, within the last 2 years or so. Every streamer was playing it, because of course they were, because that was the intention of its creation. It was made to sort of take advantage of the popularity of PT and to create a full game from a first-person perspective. And did they succeed? They succeeded in making that game. But if I didn't tell you its name was Visage, and you just saw a random clip of it, for example, it's generic horror game 101. It's every trope you could put into a horror game rolled into one, loosely tied together with a very nonsensical story. You poorly navigate the game. Its pacing is atrocious. Okay, but the reason it's popular and everyone jumped on the bandwagon was because it's great streaming content. It was a game that was literally designed to deliver the Twitch horror experience. And this comes from the fact that Twitch has now been around for a long enough time for games to see what trends and then develop towards the trending market. And off the back of this, we've seen loads of other horror games come out that afford to do that. But this one succeeded because it had the promotional backing. But it is not good. I think a good horror game is Silent Hill 2. Okay, a good horror game is Silent Hill 3. A good horror game is even the early Resident Evils. A good horror game is, I suppose, the first Dead Space. I suppose you could argue that, hey, a horror game is defined by a game that scares you in some form. And therefore, as long as it scares you, it succeeded. Not really, I don't think that counts, because you could be jump scared from that sound alert. You could be jump scared from a robotic Freddy Fazbear jumping up and scaring you. Okay, horror comes in many different forms, and therefore we have to really critique the horror and not just take it at face value. Because if we do that, then everything is fantastic because it succeeds at being horror because it was a little bit scary. Alien Isolation is a bloody good horror game, because not only is it immersive for that world, but even if you didn't know what Alien was, let's face it, that is a bloody good game. Like, fundamentally, that AI is superb. You go through a linear story that makes sense as you go through it to follow. It's got wonderful direction, cutscenes, voice acting. There's collectibles to find along the way. There's so much to do. Visage drops you in, and that's it. You move through one place to another, never knowing really what to do. Loads of people you have to use walkthroughs to get through it, and yet they claim to be having a wonderful experience because it delivers the streaming content. Like, people will come and follow you, and they'll watch you, and therefore it's a success, even if the quality of the game is shit.
Do you think?
And I feel like the problem is there's been too many horror games that fit the trending tick boxes, and we believe that ticking those boxes is somehow quality, when in fact, if you put Silent Hill 2 out today as it was back then, it would not tick any of those boxes and wouldn't be accepted. And yet, it is the pinnacle of horror. There you go.
Yeah, so that kind of gave rise to. I mean, Dead by Daylight is something you see streamed a lot. I do like a little bit of Dead by Daylight. I love that asymmetrical multiplayer aspect.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of multiplayer games, but it's a multiplayer game. It's not a horror game.
Of course.
Just because it's got Hellraiser in it or whatever, Pinhead, that don't make it a horror game.
But but it does get tagged as a horror title.
Exactly, and that's why I don't like it, because Call of Duty is let's say Call of Duty multiplayer, right? You've got two teams. So I don't know, any generic shooter multiplayer. I don't play them. You've got two teams, right? They kill each other, right? They shoot. You could be walking down a corridor, and then someone comes around the corner and shoots you. Oh, you got shot. Oh, how's that any different than DVD? What? Just because it has a horror coat of paint that blatantly wears like Jason or Michael Myers or whatever, that makes it horror? Really?
Agreed. It's like Dick Dixper is an interesting one, where you've got games that are specifically designed to be interacted with by viewers watching streams.
Yeah.
Although admittedly, I do love throwing facehuggers at people playing DBD. It's hilarious. I'd love to be able to throw facehuggers at people playing Alien Isolation when I'm trolling around isolation scenes of an evening, which is what I still do. And funny story, people, that is in fact how me and Sol first met.
Yeah, it's true.
I was having a late night wander around people streaming Alien Isolation because I love watching different people play it, because you get those who think it's Call of Duty and they try and run around and just get fucked.
Yeah.
And you get those who are so scared they spend an hour sat in a locker because they daren't fucking come out. And I actually met Sol through one of these streams.
Yes, right. Yeah, I was modding for someone who was playing it, and I Blonde came in. They were a very small streamer, so it was mainly I think it was just maybe the two of us, maybe the four of us.
Yeah.
In chat, as it were, and yeah, we hit it off quite well, and there we go. And that's crazy to think, because that was 18 months close to.
About 18 months back, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Come a long way.
Right. It is.
For this show for this year.
It is. But anyway, let's stay on topic. We do have a clip from Visage that we could show. I have actually got the official gameplay trailer for Visage here that we can take a look at.
Definitely want to emphasise that I'm not critiquing horror as a genre in video games. It can exist in many forms. I'm accepting that. I just don't think that this sort of you know when you go to a theme park and you go through one of those walk-in haunted mansions, it's a bit of fun, but you're not really going to be like having a horrible experience, right? Are you? Like, it's just going to be that kind of jump scare, but ultimately I'm safe, because it's kind of like all the tropes. This is that in video game form, and that's why I don't think it deserves the attention and popularity or praise that it does receive.
Yeah, So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this gameplay trailer and let's have a see what we're all about. Let's have a commentary from you, Soul, as to the tropes that you feel are just shite in this thing. Take a look.
Okay. Let me, Okay, so already it's got the big haunted house abandoned.
It is the Raccoon City mansion.
Here you go. Right.
Straight away, I'm seeing the vibes of PT.
Yeah, you get the first person perspective immediately. Nonsensical.
That's straight out of Labyrinth.
Yeah. It showed you what Layers of Fear did, in a way. But they just do it in a nonsensical manner.
That's Fallout.
Magic mirrors, like you clocks go down. Like it's every classic horror trope from movies, video games. So where's the context for any of this? Like, where's the plot? Where's the story? What's it trying to tell us? It doesn't need to, because it knows it doesn't need to sell it something. Shadowy people, long corridors. Dark, spooky girl, with long hair.
That is PT straight up there.
Pretty much.
So I've got PT. I'm seeing RE7 there straight away.
They literally go through every sort of trope. Like there's mannequin levels, there's stuff like that. You know, there's door levels.
That's Doom 2016.
It does look very Doom, right? Yeah, they just go through every sort of. It just frustrates me. I just don't like seeing it get. Obviously, the zeitgeist probably past now. I keep saying that word now. I've got it on my mind. But like it's past. So many people are playing Visage now. But it really did annoy me that people wanted to play it. It really did. It really annoyed me. I hated the fact that people wanted to play this game because I was like, how can you want to play this and not like just go download something to the extended version? Like, the enhanced edition. Like, why would you choose to have the lesser experience when you know better experiences are out there if you're a horror fan? But because it's popular, and I think this is the main issue here with Visage, is that popularity supersedes quality, and they're very much mistaken sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that objectively Visage is a bad game. It's obviously a subjective opinion on my part, but it's seeing specifically streamers, because it's popular, put all of their sort of any kind of valued opinion about a game or a genre or anything about horror whatsoever aside, because the game is popular. I'm going to play it and I'm going to try to enjoy it. And this sort of forced enjoyment of these games, it's not healthy. I've gone down loads of look, streaming's hard. It's so difficult. Audiences are fickle. They will disappear instantly if you're no longer playing anything remotely in their interest, and they'll even probably unfollow you. So it's hard to keep it going and pick the right things you want to play. So yes, going for the popular thing might be great, but actually it could do you a lot of harm if you could get lost in the shuffle. But the idea of I'm going to force myself to enjoy this because it's popular is absurd. Like, I could give you like hundreds of reasons why you should play Visage. I can write an essay on it, or not play it, but why it's bad. Like I can write a review and tell you, as your friend, invest your time in something better if you like the genre. If you want to play a horror game for spooky season, I can give you a long list. I'll give you 100 games if you want. I actually did that for someone. There was a streamer that said, I want to play some more horror games. You got any recommendations? I'm like, yes. I gave him a fucking list of it. I might even be able to very quickly see if I can find you. Yeah, there you are. Have I got the list here?
So the poll is up, guys. The poll is up there. Should Visage be condemned to the depths of Room 69? Get in the poll. Give us your opinion.
I was asked to recommend horror games, right? And I said avoid Visage. And within 10 minutes, I wrote this: Outlast series, the Dark Pictures series, Alan Wake, Alien Isolation, the Amnesia series, Among the Sleep, At Dead of Night, Bendy and Eve Machine, not so much anymore, Call of Cthulhu, Dead Space series, the Evil Within series, Fear series, Inside, Limbo, Layers of Fear, Little Nightmares, Manhunt, Penumbra, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Soma, and Song of Horror.
That's a good list.
There you go, right? And yeah, there's a few sequels in there that you probably want to avoid, but instantly there is a list of content that could probably last you over a year. Maybe you could even stretch that out to a lot of content, but everyone wanted to play Visage because it was popular, not because it was good. That bothers me a lot. And like I say, I fall into these traps where I'm like, I've got to play what's popular, I've got to play something because I'm not getting enough, growth or something like that. And then I instantly regret it. I'm like, what am I doing? I should just play what I love. This kind of forcing myself to like something is just not great. But you also don't want to convey it. I understand when you're on camera and you're like, well, I need to sell this because I need this to sort of work for me. So I have to try to enjoy it. But don't go more than one stream. And if you know you're not enjoying it, stop playing it, please. Because I've watched so many people play Visage that I know that were friends. But I was like, I know you're not enjoying this. I've asked your opinion and you couldn't even give me a straight answer of yes, I'm enjoying this. Everyone agreed. It's confusing. It's just not great to control. You need a walkthrough for it. There's obviously some things fundamentally wrong with it at the very least. So,
right, the results are in, and guess what, Sol? It's gone. It's going to Room 69. Visage has been condemned.
I feel so vindicated that I'm literally going to tell everyone that I had to sit and watch play it because I modded a lot of them. I'm going to tell them that I'm vindicated now thanks to you and this show. So thank you everybody who voted on that.
Well, there you go. That was 100% of the vote agreed that Visage should be condemned to Room 69. So well done, Sol. Picking you picked a winning topic there, Fan Dabby fucking Dozy. Right, so we're going on to your next item for Room 69, which is paid motormouth Katie fucking Hopkins. Now, those of you who don't know who Katie Hopkins is, she's a British bird who was on some fucking reality show and just made a living out of talking absolute bollocks just to offend people, just to make a name for herself. So it's the second least attractive creature in the history of TV. She is quite the motor mouth. She's butt fugly, and just really not something that you'd want to go near in any kind of context. So there we go. There is the woman in question. Now, I personally wouldn't shag that after 20 pints of fucking vodka, 300 spliffs, 4 lines of coke, and $1 million paycheck. I would rather stick my dick in an antique, rusty 1920s meat grinder.
I love this. I love the fact that it's my selection, but you're doing all of the arguing for me, my friend, and I love it.
Dude, I just share your opinion wholeheartedly on this one.
I'm glad you are, because for me, it's more of what she represents. Yes, of course, we all know that what she says is ridiculous. She's attention-seeking. I think she started on The Apprentice, and she went on Big Brother and other shit. I never watched them, but yeah. So she is paid to be controversial. She is paid through publications, sponsorships, influence sort of tropes and avenues to be absurd and controversial, even whether she agrees with it or not. I think a great example is where she was talking about people who name their children after the location they were born, and then it's revealed in the same interview that she named her daughter India.
Yeah, it means I should have called my son Uncle Charlie's bathroom.
But yeah, it's like what a hypocrite! Like, doesn't that just show her up? Like, she's obviously was told to come out with something controversial by her PR team. She said, "Well, here's a trend that's going. People are naming their kids after towns. Right, I'll stir up a bit of a hornet's nest with this." And then she's faced with the reality that actually you did the same. And she's like, "Yeah, but it's different." And I'm like, what?
Can you imagine having it? Can you imagine your parents calling you backseat of a Mark III Escort? I wouldn't put it past the fucking Beckhams.
I'd probably be just called bedroom.
I guess my parents are a little more adventurous. Anyway, we do have a clip of Hopkins. Yeah. One of my favourite things about people like this is watching them get their fucking arses handed to them.
Yeah,
massively, and I find it prudent to refer to the talents of British comedian Lee Francis, better known for his alter ego Keith Lemon. So this is Katie Hopkins on Celebrity Juice, just basically being told, "Shut the fuck up, you bint."
So I put on 4 stone to prove that, you know, you're not lucky to be skinny.
When you're gonna lose it?
When Hopkins comes out with controversial comments on chat shows, the hosts usually wince.
I put on 4 stone. When are you going to lose it?
Properly fight back with anything too risque. Celebrity Juice, however, isn't like that. When arrogant or heavily opinionated guests feature on the show, the gloves are off. Going up against comedian Chris Ramsey and ballroom dancer James Jordan on the opposing team, Hopkins is slammed 3 times in under 2 minutes.
Maybe you need to shove less in this end so that you don't get fat.
Do you not lose loads and loads of weight because most of your comes out the front?
Taking sensible stance on obesity, the jokes come thick and fast. And Hopkins, well, she has no comeback whatsoever.
Ooh, wouldn't it be brilliant if that fat cow couldn't lose it?
To be fair, they probably wouldn't, because unlike you, they probably wouldn't judge you for being overweight.
Number 9. Who would work for you? In this appearance on the debate show Nolan Live, Hopkins is critiquing tattoos and how they harm people's chances of getting employment.
Do you know what my passion is? My passion is...
eating.
Explaining how she would not employ someone with tattoos and then somewhat randomly insulting the host's weight, it's safe to say that Hopkins puts herself in the crosshairs. And all it takes is this question from an audience member to put her in her place.
You keep saying about who you wouldn't employ. Really, who would work for you?
Even after a long pause filled with laughter and cheering, Hopkins still can't give a decent comeback. Her retort is rather generic, which in turn makes her look a little silly.
It's a really fair question, and to be fair, if you work for me, it tends to be people that don't take sick days, always show up for work really hard.
Number 8, fired publicly. Back in 2016, Hopkins started hosting a highly controversial Sunday phone-in show for the radio station LBC, where she tackled everything from politics to religion. After just over a year of hosting the segment, she was fired for a tweet she sent relating to the Manchester bombings, in which she suggested that there needs to be a final solution with regards to tackling terrorism.
I used the word final solution in a tweet, and I would not in any way want to use that term and the inference other people lay on that.
But it was the way in which she was fired that makes this entry worthy of being on this list. According to employees of the radio station, the announcement that she would be leaving the show was met with massive cheers and applause, and news of the rejoicement was all over the media.
Second time she's been fired on live TV.
We were wrong.
Number 7, cancelled. You'd think a TV show dedicated to the opinionated rantings of Katie Hopkins would be a rip-roaring success.
Nope.
Right? Well, maybe not. And in fact, it turns out that one series of said show, titled If Katie Hopkins Ruled the World, was enough for everyone.
I would never lower myself to propose to a man. If he's not going to ask me, frankly, he can chuff off.
The show ran for 7 episodes and saw Katie take aim at wedding proposals, overweight flyers, and euthanasia, before it was cancelled due to low ratings.
It's all about personal choice. I don't want to be a burden on my kids. That's the biggest fear of any mum, right?
Watching Hopkins rant as a guest on a show.
So yeah, Katie Hopkins, knock yourself out, Sol. You're winning this one.
Based on that conversation from earlier on about this kind of idea that maybe nowadays we don't have sort of as much as we hate the Tories, they're not as as oppressive, let's say, blatantly as they were in previous decades. And so this idea of the struggle and fight is lacking an enemy for the most part, or at least a representation of an enemy. Because look, I mean, Thatcher was, the Iron Lady. She became this symbol of power. Boris Johnson is not exactly in any way an Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like he is a parody of his own self. You don't need to sort of do anything to give that person. You just hand them a fucking microphone. They hang themselves. So what was missing is an enemy, and this is what I hate. The fact that these people, these heat seekers, I suppose you would say in the wrestling industry, they literally make a career out of filling the void and being the immoral target. They get to make money out of being immoral, and they know they are being immoral. They know they're just stirring controversy. Controversy creates cash. As long as they're profiting, and as long as they don't get, they get shows cancelled, but what happens next? She gets another show, and she gets another thing, and she gets another deal. Like for her, it's a setback, but for some reason, she keeps going forward and forward and forward because there's a demand for an enemy, and there's a demand for controversy. Certain, again, a capitalistic thing. Some corporations, some companies will want to take advantage of that and use her as a spokesperson in order to draw publicity from people who are like-minded and from people that want to oppose. It's smart in a way, but I hate it because it's immoral, it's unethical, it's cruel. Because what are you actually doing here? You're giving a voice to hate speech so that people can be marginalised, and it's not on. Yes, she does all it.
Creating division to make people easier to manipulate. The poll is up, everybody. Get your votes in. Do we burn the witch or do we like her style? Get your votes in. Let's see what we get.
I genuinely think that she's horrible, and anyone else that fits this bill, and we see it a lot in... Now, I don't know these people personally, but we see it a lot in the internet culture, that these figures get outed for being, saying something horrendous, and they get cancelled, and that becomes controversy. But they profit from it, and it's wrong. It's wrong. You shouldn't be able to get a book deal or a bigger deal elsewhere because you got kicked out for being immoral, committing a criminal act elsewhere. You know what I mean? No. I think hopefully that this entry into Room 69 is a bit dated, because I like to think that maybe we're past this now and that this is going to go away. I do fear that it might still be on the horizon in a bigger form. It's just a shame that we look. You could say the hippie mentality or bleeding heart liberal. Let's all, peace, love, and all that kind of stuff. We're not all going to get along, but we definitely could not get along without having to resort to what she represents and what she does and what the companies that hire her to do what she does represent. We need less of those. Fewer of those. No, absolutely less. Absolutely zero of them. So yes, she's a pleb. Get rid of her. But in terms of the more general feeling, we really need to get rid of these influencers that spout hate speech, because that's a crime. And they're never going to get punished. They're going to get cancelled and get a new deal elsewhere and a new voice. So, yes.
Well, guess what, Sol? We win. With 100% of the vote, Katie Hopkins is condemned to the very depths of Room 69, where she will no doubt be indulging in said 96 with her spiritual twin, Boris fucking Johnson. Who was also
together.
Oh, dude, that's harsh. That's harsh. So yes, Katie Hopkins. That is Katie Hopkins and fucking Boris Johnson in the same room. Yeah, that's horror. I'd stream that as long as I can have the weapons from Doom. Okay, which brings us on to what I think is going to be the first real controversial entry into Room 69 today. So this one will be a fascinating one for you, Sol. It is superheroes.
Oh, superheroes.
Okay. Superhero movies.
Superhero movies, yeah. So I should specify that I grew up reading comic books, actually. Not going to the comic book store. They're not really big in Britain. We've got Forbidden Planet in London, that's about it. But I would get the graphic novels and I'd read them over and over again. And yeah, I loved all my Batmans. I loved my Spider-Mans. I loved my Justice League. I love my Alan Moore. I was reading like Watchmen and V for Vendetta from a very young age. So superheroes, I played the video games as well. I quite enjoy them. Not all of them, but the ones that are sort of not really got as much Disney influence. But the thing and again, this is more of a representation of something much grander. The problem, I believe that when you take a book, or let's see, if you take a book, or you take a movie, even, or a TV show, and you turn it into, say, a video game, what you're actually doing there is you're adding something to it. You're adding an engagement with your player. And I would argue that video games to movies and TV shows don't work, and never have worked, and won't work. And I say this in a more relative scope, because you might go, oh, The Witcher's great, but I think if you compared it to everything else that you consider good, it's at the bottom. Like, it won't hold up. And the reason why I say this is because you're taking away something. You're taking away the engagement, okay, from the video game, and you're making it passive. So by doing that, you're already subtracting something from it. And the reason why I'm mentioning this on superheroes is because I think comic books, the visual image with your mind reading the words and filling in the gaps, creates a visual movie in your head. It's a book, but it's aided by the visuals. Okay, so the comic book works very well. So translating a comic book into a movie, it's already there. Like the comic book is your sketchbook for the film, right? Just fill in the gaps, and yet they don't. They go off and they make it something shit. And look, I would argue that the Tim Burton Batman, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, they're pretty good. Got to admit, they're pretty good.
Where do you stand on Deadpool? Deadpool for me has always been the exception because it's not really a superhero movie. It's a parody almost.
It's a parody, movies. Yeah. It's breaking the fourth wall. A fair point. I mean, I would argue The Watchmen isn't a superhero movie or probably at all. It's actually a very political movie. And superheroes are just an allegory. They're not even, it's not a fit. You don't go to Watchmen to see a superhero film. You go there to watch a drama piece that has something to say, But here's the main issue with superhero films. There's so many of them. Okay, they're now part of some kind of universe, which means that if you go in and watch film number 11, even though it says 4-2 or something, oh no, it's film number 11. You have to watch the other fucking 10. They tell the same story over and over again. Like, it's literally the same damn plots with shitty CGI. Like, I have this issue. If you've got CGI in your movie and it's used sparingly for one or two things, absolutely fine. A video game is pure CGI, absolutely fine. But when your movie is literally 90% CGI and we're meant to believe these human actors are interacting with all this garbage that you are filling my screen with, I cannot buy into it. And I just think that they have become... They don't have to try. Disney doesn't have to try. The Marvel doesn't have to try anymore. They will spoon feed and dish out and distribute the repetitive nonsense in Star Wars, in Marvel, especially the superhero films. DC, Warner Brothers, tries to keep up by doing the same, by telling the same story over and over again with a new enemy, a new lick of paint, convincing you that it's the same. None of them have any depth. And if they have, they've already been done in comic book form, in a better medium that they were designed for. They were designed for comic books. Just like a video game was designed to be a video game, comic books were designed to be comic books, and films are designed to be films. When you crossbreed it, yes, sometimes you will get a great thing. Usually books that are written words going into a film work very well. That's one of the only few exceptions, I think, when it comes to any kind of translation.
You sum it up brilliantly there, Solo. One of the biggest problems with superhero movies is, in fact, the overuse of CGI. And it just... What I find when I watch these Marvel movies is that they just make the fights bigger and more ridiculous, and they kick them through bigger buildings. That's basically what seems to happen. They just create more CGI carnage. We do have a clip here to show exactly what the problem is. So let's take a look at it. Now, this looks like it belongs on a fucking... It doesn't look like it belongs in a movie.
This is going to be the PS6. So you're going to look back at this film and go, oh, look at this video game. It will no longer stand the test of time, like the classic films that have.
But I mean, look at these effects as... They don't even bother with motion capture anymore.
How are you meant to believe that any of this is actually real? Where's the immersion? How, like, you know, with the interaction with a comic book is that you are engaging with every single frame in your mind. Your frontal lobes are firing on all cylinders. This is a passive thing, where I look at it, and I'm meant to be somewhat immersed in this, and I just see computer-generated effect, computer-generated nonsense, colours of weird properties.
Thing is, I played Horizon Zero Dawn at release, and the graphics look better than this.
There you go. You're going to have a much more engaging and immersive experience elsewhere than watching this, what is arguably a video game cutscene play out for 2 hours, and again because it's popular.
And it is just the over-the-top nature. I mean, I'm a man grounded in science, and my physics brain is going, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, what the hell is it? What the hell even is this? What's going on here? I can't follow this.
Is it a cool concept? Yes, but you know that this has been designed to be as, I don't know, somehow sensually pleasing to an audience, you know, that is being catered for. You know, that they want children to see the bright colours, buy the merchandise, you know.
Look at the shiny.
Yeah. You know, we've had a lot of themes run through this Giggity Show tonight, and that they keep propping up this sort of fear of missing out again because it's popular. This sort of consumerist trapping of, you know, appeal to the younger audience to get, you know, the bright flashy lights and to sell the toys. The quality goes out the window again. I feel like they telling the story.
Agreed, and our audience agree. The vote once again was unanimous. Feck to feck Marvel off. So you're on a roll tonight. So that's 3 out of 3.
I'm not a fan of the Disney Monopoly either, at all.
Not at all. Now we got a couple more. We got a couple more items to go through if we're feeling up to it. I think we'll skip food and drink because nobody's going to vote to put beer in room 69.
Yeah, I'll touch briefly that it was going to be alcohol, but I don't really have much against it myself. Like, I don't actively drink it, but I don't want to stop people from drinking. Like, everyone does what they want. I'm all for people's freedom. So it was just I didn't know what else to put there.
But what we do have is we're going to touch on another, again, sit in a similar vein to the movies here. Going to touch on another really, really annoying trope that's been coming up of late.
Okay.
So it is going to be, shall we do TV shows or shall we do music? I don't mind which. Let's do music.
Okay, I don't have as much of a passion for music. So.
Oh, I don't know. This one I think was brilliant, dude. I loved your choice for this one because this is something I can get behind. I can share your disapproval. Well, disapproval or lack of understanding as it may be for this. And what what Sol chose is the genre of rap.
Yes.
Now tell us, Sol, what is it about rap music that really, really annoys you? Apart from the fact that they all look like these fucking clowns.
Right. Okay. So, yo, listen to me as I drop these sick beats. Okay. No, I'm going to pretend to rap this. So, okay, I am a big lover of Kate Bush, as many of people who know me may be aware. I believe Kate Bush, and by some extension many similar contemporaries, like Bowie, for example, are fantastic artists. Not just musicians. Again, I can't really touch on like musical aspect too much, because while I like music, it's not really a hobby or a passion at all. I know what I like when I hear it, and I like all kind of genres, to be fair. But there's something about particular artists that speak to me. When they've got something to say, and Bowie does that, most certainly. Johnny Cash, love Johnny Cash, does that. Kate Bush is the one that spoke to me the most my entire life. As a creator, a content creator, and obviously just living through life in general. Kate Bush was able to encapsulate. So, like I said, Monty Python's philosophy of comedy, she's the philosophy of music for me. She spoke to me on so many different levels. And the reason I'm able to connect with that is due to her visual choices and her lyrical choices. So I'm able to understand what she's saying through her lyrics, through her melodies, through her music. I can't understand a single thing a rap musician is saying. They speak way too fast, okay? They normally talk about things that don't make sense, completely out of context, so I'm meant to understand them. It's not even allegory most of the time. They'll just say whatever rhymes. And I hate to say this because it's such a generalization. I really don't want to say it, but they all sound the same to me. I don't get it. I don't get what the appeal is. Can I appreciate the talent of speaking very fast and being able to convey something great in lyrics in a very quick fashion? That's a talent, and I've even been able to do it on stream. I've been able to talk very quickly on stream in such a fashion. I've even parodied rap before. But as a genre of music that I want to listen to and get enjoyment out of, I can't do it. Like with classical music, I know there's going to be no lyrics and I can enjoy it for what it is. Simple, talented piece of score, right? You can do that with film or video game music. But then when there's lyrics involved, I don't want to hear what they're saying. I want to take it in. I want to enjoy it. I want to understand it. Can I connect with it? But I can't understand a single thing they're doing or saying. And even when I do finally find the lyrics or figure out what they're saying, I don't understand it at all.
Well, I'm going to refer on this one to a rap-based comedian who you may be familiar with.
Okay.
We are going to use the lyrical and analytical genius of British stand-up Doc Brown.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember Doc Brown. Yeah.
So Doc Brown created what he believed to be the lyrical template for the absolute for an instant #1 hit rap record.
This was on Good News, so I have seen this before, but I don't remember it.
And
so.
he based it on the legal templates where you just had the square brackets where you would insert your personal details.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
he created the template for a hit rap song using the same technique. So let's check this out. This is one of my favorite sketches that was ever on Good News.
Insert your name here. Insert your name here. Bitch, let me say it again if it ain't clear. It's the one and only. Insert your name here. Yeah, that's right. It's your name. Bitch, I'm the boss at the top of the game. I represent your town, street name, postcode. Shout out to a couple friends of yours that we don't know. That's right, girl. You're looking at a superstar. List the brand of your shades and your shoes and car. I know you're feeling me, lyrical ability, cause I'm harder than an overused simile. Ladies love me, and I'm one of the meanest guys. Drastically over-exaggerate your penis size. There ain't a rapper messing with me this year. Maybe put a little singy bit here. So if you step into me, your first lesson is getting smacked with your preferred weapon. More cash, more girls, more fame. Your name, your name, your name.
And there it is. There is Doc Brown's template for a hit rap song.
Rap, well, I understood that. So I think rap is better when it's parodied. But touching on what Hamster says there, that is a very key point. It's very much the outlet of a very repressed culture and peoples. It is as much political a culture than it is music. And I think that's why there is a lack of connection. Because while I could obviously understand that, I can't connect with it on a sort of, a empathetic, I suppose, basis. So it's but then while that is true, and that's where it sort of came from, it wasn't necessarily, it doesn't explain the nonsensical rap that we have now as an industry. Does that make sense? So where it comes from makes sense, totally. Yeah, I mean, when it comes from a cultural base, I'm very picky with rap. Okay, interesting. Well, what makes you picky with rap, Pandora? But yeah, so that's definitely missed on me. I get where its cultural foundations are. I don't understand how anyone can listen to it and still get some kind of enjoyment from it in the same vein as something that is a little bit more.
Yeah, see, I see rapping very similar to the way I see screaming. It's a tool that can be used as part of a musical composition, but it shouldn't be the only content of it.
Yeah, I think that's very good. It complements things well. I mean, I think that's fair.
Let's take Linkin Park here as a prime example.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning band, made some great records, and I think using rap as an element of that enhanced it.
Very much so, because if you told me Linkin Park had rap in it, I'd have to think for a second. I go, yeah, I suppose they did. You still wouldn't think about it because it complemented it so well to what their music was. I totally agree with that.
And that had a lot to do with the fact that rap, in its purest form, that your hardcore rap guys listen to and produce, it's a very slang and jargon filled world. It's very much it's very much into itself. It's very self-observant.
The fact that it's not afraid to be parodied, I never feel like by doing a parody of a rap, I feel like I'm being in any way offensive. Because obviously, again, it's still lyrical. As long as I'm doing a beat and talking in a certain way, as long as I'm not talking about, obviously, very heavy, culturally specific things, that are quite prevalent in rap, I feel fine about doing it. And I think that's great, because as a tool and a talent, rap is actually pretty cool. It's like breakdancing. Why would I risk breaking my neck every time I go to dance? But I can still appreciate it for what it is, and maybe do a bit of it every now and then, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that I have to have a connection with the thing that I'm engaging with.
I agree with you, and we have another example of why that can sometimes be difficult. We are once again referring to Doc Brown in this one. Because I found some of Doc Brown's explanations of how rap works and why it's such a controversial subject. I found it to be quite educational when I first saw this appearance. I was like, well, actually, I didn't know that. That's quite cool. But this is an explanation of how a lot of the slang works in rap. But again, it's done in such a comedic manner that I think it's very fitting for this particular discussion. So let's take a look at this. So this is Doc Brown, Slang 101.
Rap is not everyone's cup of tea. Right? But it's cool, man. I'm used to a bit of animosity. You know, I've been to Kent. You know, I've seen the face of hatred. Right? And what I've realised is people hate what they don't understand. Right? And when you think about rap, it's a slang-filled world of otherness, you know. So I created, when I first started doing it, I created these kind of visual aids as kind of a cultural icebreaker, if you will, right? And these visual aids, they're basically, I built them on cards. In my glamorous assistant here we go. Thank you very much. She's beautiful, isn't she?
I love that.
So yeah, these visual aids, I use these, but believe it or not, right? Over the years, I have actually developed enough middle-class sensibility to know that the visual aids can really benefit a presentation, right? But fortunately, you know, I'm still just working class enough to know nothing about PowerPoint, right? So we're going to use these cards, okay? And I'm going to give you some stock rap phrases, okay? Some of them you recognise. The ones you don't, I'll translate as we go. But we'll start simple. Check this out. Ready? Yeah, blood, wagwan. Hello, friend. How are you? What's the drill, cuz? What are you up to? I'm all about peas. I'd like to make money. That was bare jokes. That was very funny. See, bare means very, but can also mean lots of. As in, yeah, I got bare gold on my watch, bruv. And positives and negatives understood. Peak, sick, big and bashy, they're all good, right? And deep, that's good, but can mean sad. And air, waste, boog and whack, they're all bad. Now, if you want to describe the day you may have had, well, here's some believable features that you could add. I switched on him, blood. I went a bit mad. I sparked him in the grill, then I bounced in the whip. I hit him in the mouth, then I fled in my car. It was a minor thing. It wasn't very hard. I linked one gash. I met a young lass. I walked that nice. We had sex, all right? Trust, I bust a nut and I'm Audi. I ejaculated loudly and walked off proudly. Right? So many charming phrases that you might miss if they aren't translated. From the opaque to the blatant. Now let's try and analyze the following statement. This one's slightly more complex, but we'll
I love this.
Check this
Brilliant.
out. Move to me, blood, and your click gets shanked. What the rascal? This is big things, fam. In a bashman, chung ting, and a gap. Ducking 5-0, bunning punk like blah. Alright, so like I say, not straightforward, but it can be interpreted word for word. Check this out, right? Ready? If we ever came to blows, then I may have a knife. What the bloody hell? This is how I live my life. In a soiree with a lady and a gun. Avoiding the police, smoking drugs, having fun. Slang 101.
So yeah, I thought that, especially for this discussion, was a fantastic example to cite. Great one to cite.
That's brilliant. That's perfect. That's perfect because that translation at the end. I am very much the oh bloody hell. You know, I'm not. I didn't understand a single word of it beforehand, whatsoever. And it pains me though. Like it's like a completely new language, so I'm impressed equally by it. But as a musical genre, I think it complements, and it's great for fun and parody. But I can't see it as just for what it is being entertaining. Unless you're able to have this mind that runs at 100 miles an hour and can translate it.
Yeah, agreed. Well, what I will tell you is the results are in. And the results are that it's going to room 69. Again, a unanimous vote for yeah, homie. That's whack.
It just shows how much improv I can do, because I thought I voted to put wrapping paper into a system.
All right, well, that concludes Fuck Off to Room 69. And the results are Soul wins 4-0. Fatality.
I was going to put Most Daunted in, wasn't I?
Yeah, we were going to do Most Daunted, but we've been on air for nearly 3 hours now.
Yeah, that's true. That's bloody hell. That's gone fast.
Yeah.
Just for people out there, it was going to be Most Daunted. Not because of ghosts themselves, but because those TV shows and fake reality shows are bollocks.
Yeah, I agree that a lot of these so-called paranormal investigations are staged to fuck at the end of the day.
Very much so.
So we're just, we're just going to agree that it sucks anyway. So fuck it, in it fucking goes.
Brilliant.
We'll just put it in there anyway. Why not? So that brings us into well, anything we fucking like, really, because that we can pretty much we can get away with that unless we want to discuss the bullshit that is astrology.
Of course.
We could have a chat about that, couldn't we?
Well, you did prepare something for me.
I did prepare astrology, yes. Now it turns out that Mr. Soul here is a Sagittarius.
Yes, that's right.
So what I do have, which I'm going to queue up while I talk bollocks here, I do actually have a clip of a very famous British astrologer reading out his analysis of Sagittarius. So we'll pull this up. We'll pull this up, and we'll have a laugh at just how much bollocks this overpaid bollocks talking shithead is trying to spout here. I mean, there are some ways to make a living out of bollocks, but I've never heard anyone talk so much shit as this guy. This is legendary British astronomer Russell Grant. Or Russell Grant, if I want to speak posh. But just check this out. You've never heard anyone talk bollocks like this in your life. And the fucker gets paid for this.
And here's your Tuesday stars. This is one of the biggest days there's going to be. And between now and February the 5th, there are major decisions to make. You're going through this very strange passage, astrological passage now.
Biological passage?
Want to move on, but you're a little bit scared of moving on from something familiar and something you know, because you're frightened about what the future holds. Well, you know, we've heard this phrase constantly over the past year. With a credit crunch, you've got nothing to fear except fear itself. You need to understand, you've got to change. You cannot not change. That doesn't mean you shouldn't leave yourself with a foothold in the past while the next foot goes into something new.
I can see what he's doing.
Your career, where you live, where you work, and anything to do with your whole success, ambitious success. It means that you won't get what you want unless you do make the changes that are required by these planets. You won't get anywhere unless you start to make that move into newer, fresher climes. But do it slowly. Balance out that move.
Nothing. He's literally said nothing.
Exactly. Absolutely nothing of substance there. Nothing of substance.
Just put out these idioms and these sayings, and then he sort of reaffirms some contradiction. Now, I'm going to do something for you that I didn't plan to do, but I'd like to do it for you as a bit of a treat.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Right? So, I'm going to bring someone on for you.
Oh, dear. Oh, this is worrying. This is worrying, boys and girls. I've met some of Soul's friends, and they are extremely weird. Some of Soul's friends really are quite strange. It makes me worry. It really does make me worry. I'll just pop into the hosting screen while Soul goes and gets whoever's coming. So yeah, I tell you what, it is really great to see we've still got viewers. We're still having a laugh. I'm exhausted after two straight nights partying on. Has your guest arrived yet, Soul?
Oh yes.
Oh god, Soul's guest is here. Brace yourselves, boys and girls. I have no clue who he's brought out. Oh dear.
It is I, Mystic Keith.
Oh
and it's
god.
wonderful to be here with you on the Giggity Show. I thank you so much for allowing me to be here and to grace you all with my presence. And I thought it would be nice, as a bit of a treat, if I was to read your star sign.
I am. Yeah. I'm touched. Thank you.
Yes. I think...
Do you need my credit card number or not?
No. We can do that after the show.
Giggity.
Mr. Effing Brunette, when were you born?
I was born in April. I am a very proud Taurian.
Don't tell me you were born in April.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I think there was a bit of a delay there on the speech. Oh, it may have sounded like I said that afterwards, but I didn't actually say it before. It's okay. These things happen on stream, but it was April, and that means you are a Taurus, I believe. Yes. Now, I'm gonna read your charts now. Now, it does say here that one of your moons has become a little bit disjointed, and what it's done is it's creating a blockage around Uranus, and that's okay. That's okay because you get medication for that. All right. So don't worry about it. Just think to yourself that this is a journey of astrological proportions. Okay. And what you really need is a subtle change to your movements. Have you ever felt like when you're walking along and you're like, oh, I've just had that kebab, it's probably the 5th one for the day, and I've shat myself. Okay. So what you need there is, okay, have as many kebabs as you want, but maybe invest in a Coke. Okay? Something like that. All right. And now it does say that you, now, is there a H in your life? A H?
There might be.
There might be. I can tell you there is. There is a H in your life, and I can tell you that H is going to be very, very important when it comes to your love life.
Oh,
okay?
right.
Yeah. And that's because you're going to be sort of bent over in the middle, and you're going to have two people either side, and that's going to create the H, okay? And they are really going to fuck you up. But there you go. But I think I may have got that mixed up with my Kama Sutra there. Yeah. Sadly, well, nevertheless, they'll treat you like a Taurus. I know that much. Thank you so much. I'll tell you what I'll do. Just for you. I've just got to throw this in. I normally charge. I'll throw this in. I'll only give you one because I've got to make money somehow. Right. So tarot cards. I'm gonna pull one for you, my friend, and tell you what your future holds. Are you ready? Oh dear God. We'll do a respin for you. Don't you worry. Here we go. Oh, it's the same card. Oh, it's fate, that is. That's fate. Well, it's a tower. And it's people throwing themselves to their death to get away from you. Oh, fuck. Oh, somehow I feel like I should probably get out of here quick. Enjoy your ride with tower while it lasts.
Oh, thank you for popping in there, Mystic Keith.
No worries. Ciao for
Brilliant.
now.
See you later. Fucking hell, guys. We have a special appearance there from Mystic Keith. Was not expecting that. One at all. Oh man, that was quite an experience there. Quite an experience. Problem we've got though is we have a tie. We do have a tie. Some people believe astrology should be kept, and other people believe that astrology should be condemned.
I do agree with Hamster a little bit. I do love the mythos around it. I think it's fantastic.
Agreed.
If you go back to its origins, it's absolutely wonderful. But wait, again, with this common thing, the commercialization of it, trying to profit, take advantage of people, it's just nonsense. But it gave me material, didn't it?
Legendary. So I tell you what, we're gonna let that one sort of fucking
let that slide.
Let that one go. So that is a failure.
I'll blame it on Mystic Keith, not me. That was a fail for him.
Ah, fucking hell, that's that. Right, well, anyway, that brings us to the end of Room 69. In total, it's still a 4-1 win to Soul there. So, yeah, that's all fucking good there. All fun and games, boys and girls, all fun and games. Now, we were going to have a big debate over whether water's wet. But the only thing getting wet around here is my arse from sitting in this chair for 3 hours.
It's been 3 hours. What a show!
We have been live for 3 hours. This is the way this shit gets done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you what we'll do. So let's just have a fucking good old natter about shit.
For sure.
Yeah, let's try. I mean, tell you what, I've got one. Let's put it to the audience here.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the audience pick something that me and Soul can debate putting into Room 69. Let's have an audience. Let's have a choice from the audience. And
is there anything you want to hear rant about?
Yeah, anything you want to hear us rant about, or anything that you think me and Soul can improvise with.
I will say this is actually. I've enjoyed this very much, just because I rarely am in the guest point of view or having a voice like a soapbox, as it were, to stand on and talk nonsense. I've enjoyed this very much.
Oh well, that's why we're doing it, dude. It's about having a bit of fun. When I appeared on Twatch with you a couple of months back, I had such a fucking great laugh.
I'm glad. We're sure to have you back on.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, hang on. Battle Hamster's got one for us. Spiders. Ooh, spiders. Right, I'm going to have to do some very quick improvisational technical magicry here now. I now need to pull something up here. Soul, talk some shit while I pull something up.
Talk some shit about spiders. Okay, well, spiders, for me, I mean, they make a great superhero man. Just don't watch their films, right? It's just... for me, I'll never forget this giant spider crossing my living room and me throwing a massive heavy book on it and crying because I couldn't believe that I impulsively took this life. Now, if it was a small spider, would I have cared? That's another debate. But I felt like I felt really bad for a very long time. I think a fear of spiders is natural, and it's an evolutionary thing, because we used to be afraid of things that we couldn't see, and anything that was in the undergrowth that would scuttle through, that could necessarily bite us, infect us with something, cause damage, was a natural fear. So small critters, yeah, it makes sense that we would fear them, but a lot of them we know to be harmless, and they do a lot of more good in like capturing flies and like, you know, maintaining actually a more healthier household.
Well, not to panic the arachnophobics among us, but unless you are unless you are above the Arctic, in the Arctic Circle or in Antarctica, you are never actually more than 3 feet from a spider at any given time. Such is the size of the spider population. Without them, we would struggle to breathe because we would be so overrun with small flying insects.
There you go, you see? That's what I mean. That's just great. Like, you were not pacifists, is better. I will say that incident with the book and the spider was one of the main reasons I first ever started to doubt my pacifism. It's true. Like, I started to question video games even. Like, some games I find it very difficult to actually engage in violence. Isn't that weird? Like, but some games I don't. So I think it comes down to the aesthetic and the context. It's very odd. But like for example, the biggest example of that would be Red Dead Redemption 2. in which there was a mandatory mission in which you have to go and hunt rabbits, and I genuinely couldn't do it. They're not even real, and yet the game was so realistic and immersive for me at the time that I couldn't bring myself. Like, wolves were coming at me, and they were trying to kill me, so I killed them. Makes sense. The rabbits weren't hurting anyone, so I couldn't bring myself to do it. So self-defense makes sense, but that spider was not self-defense. It had me no harm, gave me no harm. But no, I'm not afraid of spiders generally. I can look at a spider, I can watch a spider movie, I could, watch a documentary about them. But if there was a massive tarantula, of course I'd freak out because there's a tarantula in my room when there shouldn't be one. I think it's okay.
I used to have one in a little glass tank in my living room back in the day. So
at least you expected it a bit.
But I made the mistake of having a table lamp next to it.
Oh right. Okay.
I remember coming home from work one night and I genuinely went, oh fuck, because the table lamp was shining on it and it had climbed up the side of the glass and projected a silhouette about 4 feet high on the opposing wall.
Fantastic.
So I walked through and was like, fucking hell. But just coming back to what you mentioned on video games there, where you sometimes feel you can't do it. I've had that twice, where I've done a video game and I've been like, oh man, I feel really shit about that. The first time was Metal Gear Solid 3.
Interesting. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Because right at the end of it, I mean, spoiler alert, if anyone's not played MGS3, mute it now.
I intend to, obviously.
You come to the end of the final boss fight, and the fight doesn't end until you physically shoot your mentor and the woman you're in love with.
You have to make you have to pull that trigger.
The cutscene stops and it makes you press the button to fire. Yeah. That was like, fucking proper heart wrencher.
No, for sure.
The other one was Fallout 4. Again, spoilers for anyone who hasn't played Fallout 4. Mute it now.
Okay.
Where you make it to the Institute,
right?
Okay. And you meet the scientist. And I thought, you cunt, and shot him in the face. And as you're leaving away, it comes over the tunnel. He was your son, you sick fuck. It comes over. As you're escaping, it comes over the speakers. He was your son, you sick bastard. And I was like, oh my fucking god.
It's like,
I actually had to load my previous save because I felt that shit about it.
Yeah, did you? Oh, wonderful what I say. You can unmute now. Unmute.
Yeah, unmute. You're all safe now, guys. You're good now.
See, the people who muted on the first one from Metal Gear Solid 3 had no idea you spoke about Fallout 4. So they did unmute. But that reminded me of Black Mirror. There's an episode of Black Mirror in which a kid is, you see him sort of like masturbating on his PC or whatever, right? And then someone bribes him to do all this ridiculous stuff, and they'll release the footage to his family of him masturbating. And it's like, he does this ridiculous stuff, like dangerous stuff, and you're like, come on, how bad could it be compared to what you're doing now? And then it turns out at the end that he's actually been masturbating to child pornography. And then they release it anyway, and then there's just this harrowing phone message at the end of his mother calling him, saying, what have you done? What have you done? Like that. It's so, like, it stayed with me. Like, I could understand, like, the kind of he was your son sort of thing being like, just being
when you've spent the whole game basically looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there and you think that's the guy. You've been led to believe at that point that that's the guy who fucking napped him.
Yeah.
And then you realize, and then you're like, oh fuck, a proper fucked up moment.
The most fucked up of a woman drinking milk in front of a living jar of milk. Huh? I had this one optional enemy on Elden Ring from a quest that I was sad to kill. I know Soul loves his death. Oh yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've seen a few people play Elden Ring, but I'm not overly familiar with it.
I've not played a Souls game before. I've not played Elden Ring, but I do moderate for a streamer called Lux Lupus. Okay, she's also one of my mods. and she played Elden Ring. And she really was in love with this human-wolf hybrid.
Wow.
And I got very jealous of all the attention she was giving it, and not me. So I really started to hate this guy. Blade. Yes, Blade. And it became its own little meme that I had this little rivalry. And then in the game itself, you end up having to fight and kill Blade, I think. And so I think you have to kill them. And so I was reveling in this misery that Lux was going through. She was killing her, the one she was in love with and had a crush on. And I'm like, yes! my competition for your affection is dead. That's not how that works, Sol. Oh dear. R.I.P. to the homie Blade. No. I took a dump on that grave, my friend.
Oh, dude. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, that was a good one. Nice to get a couple of little extra randoms in here. That's always a good thing. So, what I'm probably going to do now, guys, we've pretty much come to the end of the show there. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Really want to thank Sol for coming and doing this with me.
Oh,
it's been
pleasure.
it's been a fucking legend, mate. I'm just the viewing figures haven't been too bad, but the people who are in here are the people we'd want. They're the people who've interacted. They're the people who've had a laugh with us.
Yeah, I know Shani would have loved to have been here a lot longer. She had to go to work, and she knew she had like half hour of the show she could see. So she was like, "I'll be there." She was like first in chat before you went live.
Yeah, it's one reason I tried to make sure we got live on time, as I know obviously some of our friends across the pond would have been stuck for time. But if we were to try and match the US time zones, we'd be proper fucked.
Yeah, sure. I know. I did that when I first started streaming, and I'm now in a very much a British time zone. They've had to adopt to me, and I feel so bad.
So what I'm going to say, Sol, is let's have a nice closing speech from yourself. Plug yourself to High Hell. Talk about anything. Tell me what your experience has been like to be on the guest side of things.
This is unique for me. I'm rarely doing this, and I like to do more, if anything. The fact I have been asked to do a few things is wonderful. I feel like I'm in demand. But no, I've enjoyed this show. I've been booked to be on it for a very long time, and I'm glad to actually be able to come through and do this, because again, it's very hard to be in this position, to be on this receiving end. I loved it. We've had a great time talking about stuff I love, but also stuff that I love to rant about and rage. So you've given me an outlet, my friend, for both avenues. And thank you. I know Shoni was here earlier. Meatloaf, Pandarai, Battle Hamster, Mihai as well from the cinema. I know he was in D&D and he came in. It's wonderful people coming over and checking us out, and anyone else from your community that pop by. It's just a pleasure to be here and to be able to interact with you in such a manner. And this is great. And yes, I'm Sol the Seeker. I'm a Twitch streamer, improv comedian, a variety streamer mostly. I don't know what I'm playing next. You're gonna have to. When I wake up tomorrow, I'm choosing, and then I'm going live at 5. So I stream Monday to Friday from 5 p.m. now, and occasionally on a Sunday. As Mr. Open Blonde here has alluded to in the past, he was a guest on Twitch. I have some special shows at least twice a month on a Sunday. Next Sunday, this time, well, when you started today at 8:30, this time next Sunday, I'm doing an episode of a show called A Matter of Fact, which is a panel comedy show in which we have a round table of guests, and we go for it's a bit like QI. With a little bit more of a soul humour twist to it. So you get to learn something, and it's always a good time. And then a week after that, Battle Hamster, as he's here, will be a guest on a new show I've got called This Is Not Your Life. Do you remember This Is Your Life, Mr. Effenblock, that actual show?
I remember. I'll tell you how well I remember it.
Yeah.
I actually bumped into Michael Aspel in a Sainsbury's in a Sainsbury's in Walton-on-Thames a fortnight ago. He was just in doing his shopping. It was literally the good lady just sort of said, "That's Michael Aspel's over there." I was like, "Look," I was like, "Oh fucking hell, so he is." So I just went over and just said, just went over to him and said, "Look, you grew up watching your show, dude. Nice one." And he was like, "Oh, thank you very much." I wasn't feeling too chatty, but he was with his wife and started. And you could tell he was struggling to walk a bit. He's getting on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the thing with being down south in Surrey, down around Surrey, that close to Cobham. You see all sorts of rich fuckers wandering around. I saw a Lamborghini with L plates on it down there a couple of months back. It was the funniest thing I've seen in my life. I was like, no fucking way has someone got insurance to be driving that as a learner. Not the sort of thing, your dad sat in the fucking passenger seat like.
God.
If I'd not been on the fucking VFR, I'd have gotten a photo of it. But it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
This Is Your Life was. I remember the show quite fondly because a lot of classic comedians like Frankie Howerd and that would
yes, I remember seeing Frankie Howerd out Morecambe. I remember seeing. I think it was Eric Idle or John Cleese do it as well.
Yeah, a lot of them have been on there. Yeah. See, I'm doing my own version of it. This is called "This Is Not Your Life," in which my guest, in this case Hamster, will be our guest for the evening, and he has no idea what to expect because I'm going to create a completely fictional life for him and bring on guests from his fictional past who are going to talk.
Oh right, that sounds fucking awesome.
About his life.
Those of you who aren't following Sol, go drop this guy a follow. This sounds great. It sounds hilarious. I'm so up for this.
No, absolutely, and you're on the list. If we do another one, I'll tell you what. You're going to be the next. You're going to be the next guest on This Is Not Your Life.
Oh, legend! That would be. I dread to think. I dread to think how many supposed long lost lovers from my past you'll dig up.
I'll dig them up. Don't you worry.
Right. How good's your audio there, Sol?
My audio is fine.
You can hear what I'm. Can you hear the YouTube clips?
I only if I turn the stream on. I can't hear it through Discord.
Right, so that's gonna be a delay. That's gonna be a delay then.
Okay.
Scratch that. There goes the Monty Python duet.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's gonna be rather difficult.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I had set up the Monty Python duet.
If you were, I don't know. Even then, there's a delay on Discord.
There's gonna be a lag.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a shame.
I should say I do have over 32 shows in production. I do 2 a month on Sunday because they take a while. But literally, this guy's going to be on them for as long as he wishes to. Blonde is going to be, as long as you're willing and able, as am I for you. Well, I think there's always going to be a spot for you open.
Much appreciate that, Sol. And thank you again for taking the time out to come and do this with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely
this steaming pile of shit of a fucking show, which I just love.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great outlet that we don't see often enough. I think a lot of people don't get to see myself in such a position as well. Normally, I'm trying to cater an experience for others, so to be on the receiving end is quite odd, but welcome very much.
Of course. Right, so I'm just having a look at who's about that we can rate to, and there's not a lot of people about really. Which is unusual, I guess. With it being a Sunday, everyone's at work and all that shit. So with it being Sunday, everybody's at. And I ended up listening back to my own stream with a delay there, and I hate the sound of my own voice. As weird, as ironic as that sounds, I'm a fucking musician who does his own recording. I hate the sound of my own voice with a fucking passion.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to drop in a friend of mine who is who's usually here, but he's clearly doing his own thing tonight. He does a rather large sort of Star Wars based content a lot of the time, and he's just stopped, so we're going to go somewhere else.
Oh dear.
So we're going to drop. We'll drop it on a small British streamer, whom I also discovered through my Alien Isolation trawling.
Ah, interesting. Oh, that comes full circle. Yeah,
it's a streamer who goes by the name of Sav. She's playing the new COD, ironically.
Yeah.
She ticks everything we've ranted about. She is LGBTQPQI BBC ITV. And she is playing Call of Duty. So it sort of ticks pretty much all the boxes we've covered tonight. But she is a really great streamer. She's very, very, very funny as well. which is exactly the sort of person we need to go and see.
Yeah.
So I will just get this raid set up while I talk some bollocks, because I am terrible at setting up. I'm terrible at setting up raids. I usually fuck them up. And let's have a look. Yep, that one's worked. Fantastic. So I'm going to flash up the wonderful ending screen that I have made up, which looks a bit like this. Once again, massive, massive thanks to Soul the Seeker for coming and doing this with me.
You've having me, my friend.
I don't know when the next Giggity Show is going to be, but if you follow my socials, which you are obviously plastered up on my channel page, you'll be able to find them. So on that note, I've been Mr. Blonde, and I want you all to be nice to each other. If you can't be nice to each other, I want you to get the flying fuck out of my channel. Spam the chat with "It's an effing raid." Thank you, Soul, brother. It's been a pleasure. Let's fucking go.